So for those writing their exams in September 2025, guys, let us first talk about the entire CA intermediate course. Then we'll come to the subject of accounting. Your CA intermediate now has two groups. Each group consists of 3 papers only. Earlier there were 4 papers in each group. Now you have only 3 papers. In the first group, we have advanced accounting. September 25 students. What are the other papers? You have law, and then there is taxation. Taxation is segregated into DT and IDT. There's direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax is for 50 marks. Indirect tax is also for 50 marks. Group 2 beta comprises of cost and management accounting. You can call that as costing. And then guys, there is auditing. And finally, there is financial management and strategic management. Financial management is also for 50 marks. Strategic management is also for 50 marks. The passing criteria is the same as CA foundation. You're supposed to get a minimum of 40% in each paper, and the overall aggregate has to be 50%. All the papers collectively will be for 600 marks. So to pass, you will have to score a minimum of 300 marks with a minimum of 40 marks in each paper. Now, every paper will have 30% of objective, 70% will be subjective or descriptive part. 30% objective mein, there is no negative marking as of now. When the rules were announced, ICI made it very clear that we reserve the right. In case we want to introduce negative marking, we will do it later. Why do they want to do it? Just to reduce the pass percentages. That is the only part. Nothing else was the intention behind it. But as of now, there is no negative marking. Now, the criteria of 40% applies to the entire paper. Meaning, if advanced accounts paper beta is for 100 marks, you're supposed to get 40 marks on an overall basis in advanced accounts paper. As of now, you can also get 30 out of 30 in MCQs. You can get 10 out of 70 in the descriptive part. That is allowed. But there are rumors already that they might make this 40% criteria applicable to individual component. Meaning, in MCQs, you will have to score a minimum of 12 marks. In the descriptive part, you will have to score a minimum of 28 marks. If you score 30 in MCQ and 27 in descriptive, your overall total will become 57. But because you did not get 40% in the descriptive part, you will not clear this paper. It has not been introduced yet, but then there are rumors. There were also this discussion which happened in the Central Council meeting. A lot of people were against this. So I don't think they're going to introduce this rule anytime soon. But you can still expect all of this coming in the near future. So the pass criteria is very clear, beta. You're supposed to get 40 marks in each paper and overall aggregate should be 50 marks. The advantage of writing both the groups together. यहाँ पे CA intermediate में, because there are 6 papers, they've divided it into groups. You can also clear one group and write the other group in the next attempt. Correct, beta Ritvik? पढ़ाई पे ध्यान देगा. हाँ. So, you're just saying who are all the new students in the class. Do you want to come here and stand once? I'll introduce you. वहीं पे खड़े हो जा. Guys, you have Ritvik. He's a model. He's an expert in ramp walk. Correct, beta Ritvik? हाँ. So guys, what was I talking about? The advantage of writing both the groups together, beta, is that you get the set off advantage. I have a couple of mark sheet here. This is of old syllabus, guys, but still just look at the marks. But just say this student, guys, did not score 50% in the second group. Earlier there were 4 and 4 papers. So obviously it was for 800 marks. Second group mein beta, he has scored only 189. But because in the first group he has scored 225 and the overall average is still more than 50%, he has cleared both the groups. If the same student writes both the groups separately and he gets 225 in the first group, he's done with the first group. If he gets 189 in the next attempt while writing group 2, he will have to write the entire group again. That is the advantage of set off. Are we clear? So now because there are 6 papers, say in case you get 240, in case you get say beta 190 in the first group and you get 120 in the second group, 40, 40, 40 in all the 3 papers, your overall total will be 310. 10. You still clear all the 6 papers. You do not have to write any of these papers. But if you write group 1 separately, you get 190, and then beta you write group 2 separately and you get 120. You do not clear group 2, you will have to write all the papers of group 2 again. Are we clear? This is always the advantage of writing both the groups together, and it helps a lot. People who write both the groups together as such beta generally tend to have a higher pass percentage. Earlier people used to encourage people to write only one group because the syllabus was vast, and the other reason beta academies never used to finish portion on time. So instead of putting the blame on the students or on the academy as such beta, they'll be like, "Okay, write only one group. This is in your best interest. That is why we are not teaching you both the groups now. We will teach you only group 1. You guys please do not do that as such beta. All of that is useless. Attempt both the groups together. It's easy. There are only 6 papers and you have a lot of time beta now. The ones who are writing in September, you have almost 10.5 months as such guys till your examination. So there's huge amount of time left as such beta to prepare, study well for both the groups. Anyways, the pass percentage as such guys at CA intermediate, do not go by the last attempt pass percentage. September, it was only 5.99%. Yeah, that's not a realistic pass percentage. Please do not forget that everyone who wrote in September 2024 was a repeater. They were not first attempt students. The ones who did not clear in May attempt were the ones who wrote the exams again in September. We did not have any fresh intake of students beta in September. That is why the pass percentage was very low. Otherwise, it's usually around 15 to 20%. That is decent enough. All right, kids. Next, there is also something called as exemption in CA intermediate. There's no such thing in CA foundation guys, but in CA intermediate we have the concept of exemption. In case you score, say in accounting you get 70 marks, in law beta say you get 59, and in tax you get 39. Now because you did not score 40 marks in one paper beta, you do not clear the group. But because you have scored more than 60 in a paper, you get exemption in that paper. You do not have to attempt that paper in the next attempt. Meaning beta, in the next attempt you will have to write only law and tax. Agar law में भी beta same attempt में you get say 65, that means you do not have to write both accounts and law. You will have to write only tax in the next attempt, but it should be in the same attempt. You cannot do like this. We will write only one paper in one attempt, get more than 60. Then we will write one paper in the next attempt, get more than 60. Exemptions in 2 papers are allowed, provided you get those exemptions in the same attempt. You cannot write paper by paper. In the next attempt, if you get more than 60 in law, they will ask you which exemption do you want to select. Do you want to carry forward accounts or do you want to carry forward law? But you will not be given an option to select both the exemptions. Are we clear about this? So that is the exemption criteria guys here. Are we clear about that part? Now, as per ICI rules guys, it is mandatory that you register for CA intermediate 8 months before your examination. So the ones who have their attempt in September 2025, you will have to register on or before 31st of December 2024. That will be the deadline for registration. As per ICI rules, it is 1st Jan 2025 guys, but then please ignore that. 31st December should be the official deadline to register for exams in September 2025. The ones who are writing in May 2025 as such beta, your deadline got over long back. It was 31st of August, 8 months before the examination. It is mandatory. If you do not register as such guys before this date, you will not be eligible to write in the month of September. Apart from this, you're already aware that there will be an examination form that you will have to fill. For those writing in May attempt, your examination form will come out in the month of March. For those writing in September, your examination form will come out in the month of July. मतलब जब May का result आएगा बेटा, May का result will be out by June end, June 30th or July 1st week. After that, the next attempts exam form gets rolled out. So your exam form will be rolled out in the month of July. Are we clear? Now, please register for both the groups irrespective of your intention to write one group or the other. Anyways, you will have to register guys. So register for both the groups with ICI. In case you wish to write only one group, you can select that option in the examination form that you are filling. Okay? As and when you fill the exam form, but I hope no one writes only one group as such beta, you attempt both the groups. Are we clear about the examination, this thing beta? After you write your CA intermediate examination, there will be something called as ITT and orientation. ITT beta is for computer skills, orientation is for your soft skills, communication skills. It is mandatory to undergo these two trainings. These are provided by ICAI only. No other academy as such beta will provide this. Only after you finish these two, you will be eligible to enroll for articleship. You will have to undertake a mandatory articleship period of 2 years. After that, there should be a gap of 6 months, and then you can write your CA final exams. So the ones who are writing in September 2025, in case your results come out by October 31st and you register for articleship by October 31st, your articleship will get over by October 31st, 2027, and you will be eligible to write your CA final exam in May 2028. But in case you do not register for articleship by October 31st, you register on November 1st or later, your CA final exam will be in November 2028, because that 6 months period is mandatory after 2 years of articleship. So ऐसा ही सोच के चलना है बेटा, though it is 2 years of articleship, most likely the time gap will be 3 years. The ones who are writing in May 2025, guys, your results will come out by the end of June 2025. Your articleship will get over by July 2027. So you will be eligible to write in only May 2028. You will not be eligible to write your CA final exam in November 2027. That 6 months of time gap will not be completed by November 2027. It will be completed only by May 2028. So the ones who are writing in May beta, if you clear your exams, your CA final attempt will be in May 2028. 3 years from your attempt. This is the plain rule. Are we clear about this as well? Any doubt in this part, guys? हाँ. इसके अलावा बेटा, the materials that will be provided to you in the classes will cover all the study material questions, will cover all the past examination questions, RTPs, MTPs. Plus there will be MCQs as such beta that are covered, because MCQs also come in the examination. MCQs beta कोई अलग से आते नहीं है. The ones who are already attending classes will know this. It is the same question beta that was being asked as a descriptive question earlier is now being converted into an MCQ question. Instead of asking one requirement, there will be 5 requirements, because it has to be a proper 10 marker question. That is how they're asking MCQs. So it is not theory based MCQ, it is all practical question, and it is not that you will have 30 different MCQs. There will be one single question for 10 marks, based on which you will have 5 different MCQs. That is how they ask questions in the examination. So there's no separate preparation required for MCQs. It is a regular preparation only. Alright guys. Now, starting about the paper beta. So guys, I'm Rahul actually. I forgot to introduce myself. The ones who do not know, most of you are old students as well. So I take up advanced accounting, I take up cost and management accounting, and I take up financial management. So I will be taking your classes till your batch ends. That will be somewhere in the month of May. For September 2025, guys. The ones who are writing in May 2025, I'll throw you guys out in mid of Feb only. So, back guys, the paper advanced accounting, guys. All my papers for that matter, guys, are very scoring. It's easier to score 90 plus in my papers, provided you concentrate a little in the classes. That's equally important. For the ones who do not know, or the ones who are attending classes here for the first time, time discipline is very, very important. Solving homework questions is very important. Plus, if you are someone who's yawning continuously in the classes, or who think that you can just sleep in the classes, you will be thrown out immediately. I'm very, very particular about that. जैसे अभी शुरू भी नहीं किया, 1 or 2 kids there were continuously yawning. I know guys, you're attending classes after a long time. That is why you might not be used to this. Even the ones who took a 1 week break. But all of that nonsense will not be entertained in the classes. You're sitting here, study, otherwise do not come. As simple as that. टाइम वेस्ट करना है बेटा, कहीं और जाके टाइम वेस्ट करो, यहाँ पे बैठ के क्यों करना है? करेक्ट शाबाश. Talking about advanced accounting paper guys now. First 2-3 days will only be covering basics of accounting. We will get into the syllabus guys after 2 classes most likely, not immediately. I will not even talk about the entire syllabus now, because you will not understand a word out of it. If I tell you we have these topics, consolidation, amalgamation, internal reconstruction, क्या तो करना है बेटा अपन को? It is not that you're going back home and going through the entire content today only. And as and when materials are given, beta, it will be informed in the class or in the group. There is absolutely no way, beta, that I come and personally tell a student, whisper in his ear, material ready hai, jaake le le bol ke. Do not ever think that I'm going to not tell all the students. थोड़े बच्चों की आदत रहती है वो कंटिन्यूस पूछते रहते सर मटेरियल सर मटेरियल सर मटेरियल बोल के. डोंट यू थिंक बेटा विल अनाउंस इन द क्लास ओनली? यस और नो? और डू यू रियली थिंक इट मेक्स सेंस फॉर मी टू गो एंड प्राइवेटली टेल पीपल दैट मटेरियल रेडी है बोल के? करेक्ट रोहन? नाउ so let us start the subject better directly. We will be covering the definition of asset, liability, revenue, expenditure, contingent liability, provision. Basic terms, guys. All of these basics are very important because irrespective of how many accounting standards we have, the underlying principles of the accounting standards can never change. There are many accounting standards that cover assets. There are many accounting standards that cover recognition of revenue. There are many accounting standards that will talk about other provisions. The underlying principles of all of these accounting standards have to remain same. If the underlying principles themselves are changing as such, guys, then it makes no sense for you to follow those accounting standards. All right. So we are only going to learn about asset, liability. How do you initially recognize an asset? What is the measurement, recognition criteria, and the other aspects. I have also thought about all of this in CA Foundation Accounts classes, but then we will have to compulsorily do it, whether or not you like it. I cannot help it. Starting off, guys, with the basic definition of the word asset. How do you define an asset? Yes, बेटा तने गुरु सोच रहा था उसको पूछ रहा और वो बोला बच गया. तने बैठ जा. हाँ. गुरु तू बोला ना बच गया बोल के. अभी कुछ लिखना था मुझसे, क्या था वो? ऐसे ही बकबक कर रहा है. Yes, तने. What is an asset? Has some defined value, will give future economic benefit, is in the control of the entity. Matley? No idea. Vedika? What the firm owns is called as an asset. If you do not own it, it is not an asset. Anyone else, guys? It is probably, who's answering? Property of the firm is called as, तो सिर्फ प्रॉपर्टी पे क्यों आता है बेटा? प्रॉपर्टी मतलब इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, मूवेबल और इमूवेबल, एनीथिंग, it should be the property. What is the definition of the word property? Asset of the firm. Any asset of the firm that is not a, that is a property is an asset. For all you know, guys, Shabazz beta, the ones who do not know about him, he's a stand-up comedian. अभी कॉमेडी का टाइम नहीं है बेटा, अभी थोड़े, हाँ तो कॉमेडी कर रहा था क्या भाई? अरे yes beta, Shabazz says it is a property of the firm. Anyone else? Yes, Vanshika. Don't worry, guys, it's 1 or 2 days after that you'll all get used to your new friends. No idea about an asset. Why? कोई तो आंसर करो ना यार, क्या कर रहे हो भाई बहन? तुम दोनों भाई बहन हो ना यार, इसीलिए तो बोल रहा हूँ ना यार. ये क्या प्रॉब्लम है? यस दिया. Asset is something that the firm owns, which will give future economic benefit. Tane, there was something else you spoke about. Nothing else. It can be tangible or intangible also. All right, guys. Classification of assets. So, guys, whatever Tane has answered is a classic definition of the word asset. Any resource within the control of the entity that is going to give you future economic benefits will be termed as an asset. Merely because something is going to give you future economic benefit, it will not become an asset. For it to become an asset, the most important criteria is controllability. Only if that resource is within the control of the entity, you will say that it is an asset. If that is not a resource within the control of the entity, it will not be an asset. Talking about controllability part, there are multiple examples. Will employee training help in future economic benefits? If you are training your employees as such, guys, will that help in generating future economic benefits? The answer is definitely yes. It will result in future economic benefits. The operations will be more smoother. Obviously, the employees will be able to generate more revenue for the firm. Yes or no, guys? But is that a resource within the control of the entity? When I say whether it is a resource within the control of the entity, guys, when the employee is leaving the organization, can you ask him to give the training back and then leave the organization so that you can pass it on to the next employee? Or can you tell him that I would want to sell this employee training, so please lie on the bed, I would want to cut your brain, and then, not literally, guys, but can you do that? There is no way, beta, that you do that. It is still giving us future economic benefits, but it is not a resource within the control of the entity. All right. Next, talk about advertisement expenditure. Will that result in future economic benefits? Undoubtedly, yes. Companies heavily spend on advertisements as such, guys, so that there is future economic benefit. But is that a resource within the control of the entity? When I say is that a resource within the control of the entity as such, beta, will you be able to dispose of that advertisement expenditure if you do not like it? So you have spent heavily on marketing of a product as such, beta, tomorrow it is not giving us the desired result and you now want to sell off that marketing expenditure. Will you be able to do that? It is still not a resource within the control of the entity. Because it is not a resource within the control of the entity, guys, it cannot be classified as an asset. Asset का मतलब ये नहीं होता है बेटा that it has to be a long term asset, it cannot be a short term asset. Asset is an asset. It can be a current asset, it can be a non-current asset. I am buying inventories from the market, beta. Say I am a dealer of crackers. I buy crackers from the market with an intention to sell it. Is that an asset? The stock of crackers that I have as such, guys, will that be an asset? What, Vedika? What are you thinking about? We are immediately selling it. Till you sell it, beta, do you own it? Do you have the right to control that asset? You can do whatever you want. Can someone come and take away those crackers from you and go? No. You own it, you have control over that resource. The day you sell it, you will book this as an expenditure. You will also book the corresponding revenue as the income. Hi, na beta. But as of now, till you sell that inventory as such, guys, will that be an asset of the firm? The answer is definitely yes. I'm buying shares of a company from the market, guys, with an intention to sell it tomorrow. I'm buying shares of Reliance Industries. I just get to know that Donald Trump has won elections. It is very favorable for the Indian stock market as such, beta. So I start buying shares of Indian manufacturing entities. What do you think will happen if I want to sell them tomorrow? Will that still be an asset, or just because I have an intention to sell them tomorrow, beta, I should not disclose it as an asset? It is still an asset. Till I dispose it off as such, beta, I will disclose that as my asset. Does not matter even if I have an intention to sell it tomorrow. What if I buy a car today as such, beta? I have an intention to hold it for the next 10 years. Will that be an asset that belongs to the firm? Definitely yes. Do you exercise control over it? Will it give you future economic benefit? See, the future economic benefit may not be directly related to your business as such, guys, but it might still result in some amount of future economic benefit. If not car, you might have to rely on public transportation as such, guys, or some other mode of transportation. Won't you be incurring expenses on that? If you're using your own car, are you not saving that expenditure? It may not be financially viable as such, but we still do not literally go by that direct economic benefit. Are you getting the point here? So if you're buying a car as such, beta, that will definitely be your asset. If you're buying an air conditioner as such, beta, will that be an asset? May not be directly related to your business as such, guys, but then it is still required for your smooth running of the operations. So that will be classified as an asset. You are running a bar, let us say, beta. People come, people drink, go. Will they carry bottles also along with them? Won't it be a little weird as such? But I imagine that you're drinking at a bar as such, but and you'll be like, "Ye panch main piyata, I'm taking those bottles home." Yes or no, guys? For those who are not able to relate, beta, take the example of thumbs up bottles. Jo bhi hai, beta. You go to a cafe, you're drinking there as such, guys. Are we clear? What will you do with those bottles? Leave it there only. You will not carry it home. You will not go around and tell, "Nahi, main Marwadi or please leke jaunga na bol ke." Even I am one, guys. But then, will you ever want to do that, guys? No, beta. What will that bar fellow do, guys? Sell them. Undoubtedly. Those stock of bottles, guys, for the bar person, is that an asset? Does he exercise control over that stock of bottles? This was an examination question, not in CA Inter, but kahin to pucha tha. He literally gave this example that you're running a bar, people come, people drink, people go. What will be the stock of bottles be classified as? It should be classified as an asset because it will give you future economic benefits and it is an asset which is within the control of the entity. Are you not exercising control over it? Yes, that is why it will be classified as an asset. You take the example of anything better, that is, you have done so many questions in your foundation better based on balance sheet. Can you name few assets that you disclose? Huh? Investments. Investments can be in equity shares, it can be in bonds, it can be in gold. Yes or no? Huh. Okay. You've spoken about plant and machinery, you've spoken about furniture, there will be building. Debtors, guys. Is that an asset? Do you exercise control over the debtor? We are not talking about control over the person, guys. Control over what? The amount receivable. You have an amount receivable from the customer as such, beta. You're disclosing that person's name in your balance sheet. Do you have control over the legal right to realize that amount? Undoubtedly, yes. Today, if you want, can you sell that receivable? When I say selling the receivable, you are not selling the debtor, you are selling the right to receive the amount. Can you do that? Bill discounting, beta. Tum log jo foundation mein padhe. Are you not discounting the bill with the banker, guys? So you basically exercise a right, a control over that resource. That is why you're disclosing that as an asset in your books of accounts. Inventories, guys. Do you exercise control over it? That inventories, beta. Someone said it can be tangible, it can be intangible. Can I have a stock of gaming CDs as such, beta? Tangible asset or intangible asset? Intangible asset. Gaming CD might be tangible as such, beta, but CD does not fetch any value. It is a game, it's stored that inside that as such, beta, that fetches value. If you're a dealer of tally software as such, guys, it is still an intangible for you. It is not a tangible item. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? You might sell those softwares in CDs or you might sell those softwares in pen drives. That does not mean it becomes a tangible item. It will still be classified as an intangible item. Are we clear about this? Next, beta, cash and bank balances. Are they an asset? They're already in realized form as such, beta. You can use them whenever you want. So whenever you talk about an asset, what are the conditions that should be met? It should be a resource within the control of the entity. They basically talk about three things, beta. A present resource within the control of the entity arising on account of a past event which is expected to result in future economic benefits. There is present, there is past, there is future. And everywhere you're supposed to mention all the 3 points. Only then marks. Anywhere, beta, wherein you have a confusion whether a particular thing can be capitalized or not. Let me talk about the meaning of the word capitalized now. Capitalized का मतलब जानते हो? Yes or no, guys? Volume ज़्यादा है क्या बेटा? नहीं, बाहर में जाओ. हाँ. Do you know what is the meaning of the word capitalized? Foundation हो गया यार. हमको भी नहीं मालूम सर कहाँ से हो गया. By the way, congratulations to all of those who have cleared foundation. I totally forgot. तालियां मार लो अपने आप के लिए. जो पास हुए वो भी मार लो अपने आप के लिए. ये अलग ही टशन में आ रहे. हम क्यों मारना? हम तो पास हुए बोल के. Anyways, guys, back. So, what is the meaning of the word capitalized? We'll ask the topper. हाँ बेटा. Krishna. No idea. पहले ही अपन को कम दिखता बेटा. चश्मा भूल गया घर पे. मैं भी iPad बैग के अंदर लग लूं. ऐसे ही पढ़ा दूं. Devansh, what is the meaning of the word capitalized? No idea. Are you sure, beta? Lakshita. दिख रही है बेटा. Guys, anyone better who knows the meaning of the word capitalized? सुहानी? अरे सुहानी किसका नाम है क्या कोई? तू भूल गया? हाँ बोल, कैपिटलाइज मतलब? Any expenditure incurred on an asset is called as an capitalized cost. If it is related to an asset, it is capitalized. Otherwise, it is not capitalized. Yes, better. Anyone else? Bhumika? No idea. Oh my God. Yug. Any item? सीने के बाजू बैठे, so I understand बेटा. हाँ, any item? He will not be capitalized. हाँ. Which was not in balance sheet, but you're now taking it to. तो अभी तक था कहाँ ये? आदि चप्पन मल्ली, which was not in balance sheet अंटे. Excellent. Anything better that is not transferred to P&L account as and when it is incurred but is disclosed as an asset in the balance sheet is called as a capitalized expenditure. It can be inventories also. I buy stock of crackers, abhi bola main. Will that be an expenditure or will I capitalize it? I will capitalize it. When will I transfer that to P&L account? When we sell it. Capitalize का मतलब ये नहीं होता है बेटा that it has to be a long term asset, it cannot be a short term asset. As and when you incur that expenditure, if you have the right to disclose that as an asset, it is a capitalized cost. I am buying plant and machinery today. What will I do? Capitalize it or transfer it to P&L account? Capitalize it. Yes or no? I am incurring transportation cost on that plant and machinery. What will I do? Will I add it to the cost of plant and machinery or will I transfer that to P&L account? Any amount that is to be shown in the balance sheet as an asset is called as your capitalized cost. As and when you're incurring, you will not transfer that to P&L account. But please remember, a lot of us misunderstand this. They think that it is only in relation to fixed assets. It is not in relation to current assets. कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है बेटा whether it should be a current asset or a fixed asset. Simple rule, as and when you incur it, you are not supposed to transfer that to profit and loss account. You're supposed to carry it to your balance sheet. ये अलग बात है बेटा, most of these items, even before you prepare a balance sheet, you end up consuming it. I buy inventories on 1st of March. Is there a compulsion that I should hold inventories till 31st March? What if I end up selling those inventories before 31st March only, guys? Obviously, it will not appear anywhere in my balance sheet. But prima facie, if I were to prepare a balance sheet as on 1st of March, won't I disclose that as an asset in my balance sheet? Yes. Anything better that needs to be taken to your balance sheet and is not supposed to be expensed off is called as your capitalized cost. Are we very clear about this? So everyone understood, guys, as to what is the meaning of the word asset? So how do you define an asset? Abhi beta, there is nothing called as deferred revenue expenditure also. Please remember that. We have that classification only in foundation. Accounting standards में बेटा, it is either an expenditure that gets transferred to profit and loss account or it is a expenditure बेटा that will be taken to your balance sheet. You either capitalize it or you transfer it to your P&L account. Are we very clear about it? Yes or no, guys? So advertisement expenditure, no doubt about it, will result in future economic benefit, but still it fails to meet the basic definition of the word asset because it is not a resource within the control of the entity. What are you supposed to do with it? Transfer it to P&L account. You cannot capitalize that expenditure. Advertisement expenditure, guys, the other one was employee training expenditure. What will you do with that? Transfer it to profit and loss account. If there's any amount of brand promotion that you're doing as beta, what will you do? Transfer it to P&L account. Any amount of incorporation expenditure that you're incurring, transfer it to P&L. Incorporation expenditure also beta might give you future economic benefits, but that is not a resource within the control of the entity. You will not go and tell someone that I want to sell this today. Are we clear about this beta? You will not be able to exercise control over it. Because you're not able to exercise control over it as such beta, you will not be able to disclose that as an asset. Are we clear? An asset can be tangible, it can be intangible, it can be a current asset, it can be a non-current asset. We do not care about it. Any doubt in the definition of the word asset, guys? Yes or no? Now, Coming to the recognition criteria of an asset, ये हर एक standard के लिए important है बेटा, याद रखना. Not just, see, there are multiple standards that deals with asset. There's accounting standard 2, valuation of inventories. There's accounting standard 10, property, plant and equipment. There's accounting standard 13, investments. There is accounting standard 26, intangible assets. These 4 are primarily based on assets. इसके related there are other standards also. जैसे there's AS 16, borrowing cost. Every standard is based on the same principles. These principles are not going to change. Whether it is AS2, whether it is AS10, AS13, AS26. हर जगह asset का definition will be same. That is not going to change. Crystal clear? Recognition criteria, guys. An asset can be disclosed in the books of accounts if and only if there are 2 basic conditions that are met. The first important condition, guys, is cost can be measured. The second condition comes directly from the definition of the asset, that there should be future economic benefits. Only if these 2 conditions are met, you will be able to disclose something as an asset. Otherwise, you will not be able to disclose something as an asset. I am not worried about future economic benefits, because when you go to the definition of an asset, guys, you obviously will check whether there are future economic benefits or not. Yes or no, guys? If there are no future economic benefits, you will not be able to disclose something as an asset. Why is the first condition important? There is something called as initial measurement. Any accounting standard, guys, will always talk about one thing, that initially every asset should be measured at cost. Whether it is a building that you are constructing, guys, whether it is a building that you are purchasing from someone else, whether it is plant and machinery, whether it is inventories, we do not care. You're always supposed to measure everything initially at. This is directly based on cost concept that you have learned in foundation, historical cost. Whatever amount that you are spending on that resource is the amount at which you should be disclosing an asset. If you're not able to measure the cost of the asset at all, will you be able to disclose that in your books of accounts? Yes or no, guys? This other condition is also equally important. It is only because of this condition, better, that we keep learning everywhere that goodwill cannot be recognized as an asset. कभी पढ़े कहीं? Internally generated goodwill should not be disclosed as an asset. Is goodwill an asset? Yes. Goodwill is an asset as such, beta, because I exercise control over that. It will result in future economic benefits. Can organizations sell brand names? Answer is definitely yes. When they sell brand names, are they not indirectly selling only goodwill that they have in the market as such, beta? When Paradise got sold as such, beta, for a hefty valuation of 600, 700 crores, whatever as such, guys, whoever was buying that entity was obviously paying a huge sum of money, guys, for the brand name of Paradise. Isn't that brand name as such, beta, that will help them in expansion throughout India as such, guys, and cash in on that? So people do pay as such, guys, for brand as well, goodwill as well. If you are paying for someone's goodwill and buying that goodwill, you know what is the cost of that goodwill. तुम खुशी खुशी books में बताओ. No one has a problem. If I am buying someone's brand name as such, beta, by paying a consideration of 10 lakhs, what is the cost to me? Can I measure cost? Can I disclose that as an asset in my books of accounts? Definitely yes. But what if I have generated goodwill of my own business? What is the cost of that? Paradise never sold itself. Let us assume as such, beta, that the entity was not sold. However, they got a valuation done. कि हमारी brand value कितनी है बोल के. They came to a conclusion that only the brand is worth 400 crores. Yes or no? Tiffany diamonds as such, guys. Only the brand is worth about $5 billion. That is about 40,000 crore rupees. Forget their operations. Only that brand name as such, beta, has a market value of 40,000 crore rupees. That is the brand valuation that was done as such, beta. Now, if Paradise is getting their brand valuation done and they come to a conclusion that their brand is worth 400 crore rupees as such, guys, can they disclose that in their books of accounts? I cannot disclose an asset directly at market value. ऐसा कुछ है ही नहीं. समझ में आ रहा है? You will not be allowed to directly disclose the asset at market value. What is that 400 crores? Market value of the brand. What was the cost that you have incurred in creating that brand? No idea. every single thing that the organization has done as such beta might have contributed to the brand image of the organization. Yes or no? It is not any one small activity, small one aspect as such beta that is contributing to goodwill. Why is Paradise today Paradise? ठीक है, तुम्हारे opinions अलग होंगे. I'm just taking the example of Paradise because it is next to this as such beta. कोई बीच में बोला ना उनकी बिरयानी अच्छी नहीं है, खींच के लगाऊंगा. But why did they create, why do they have that brand name as such beta? Is only because their operations as such guys over multiple years. हाँ या ना? Because you're not able to measure cost, you will not be able to recognize that as an asset in the books of accounts. Are we clear about this? You will not be allowed to recognize this in your books of accounts as an asset. This is why recognition criteria is equally important. If I am buying an asset beta whose market value is 100 crores at 1 crore rupee, why did I buy at 1 crore? None of your business, none of my business. I got it for 1 crore. What is my cost? At what amount should I disclose that in the books of accounts? 1 crore only. That market value of 100 crores will not be relevant. Initial measurement of any asset is always at cost. Are we clear about this? So going back to the basic definition beta, asset का definition क्या है? Present resource. ये सब accounting standards related है beta. Even if I say that this is not a part of the syllabus, this is very much a part of the syllabus because we will be covering all of these points again and again in those standards. It is a present resource within the control of the entity which is expected to result in future economic benefits. All right guys, recognition criteria of an asset beta is that you should be able to measure the cost of the asset and then it is probable that there will be future economic benefits. No one talks about certainty. Certainty comes at few places, otherwise we always say it should be probable. I'm taking up a business as such guys, I will not be 100% sure whether I will be able to generate profits or not. Can there be a possibility of loss? Undoubtedly yes. That is why we always use the word it is probable that there will be future economic benefits. 100% surety के साथ कोई कभी कुछ नहीं कर सकता है. Any doubt in that aspect guys? Yes or no? This is about what guys? Initial measurement. It will always be at. Talking about guys subsequent measurement. I'll also talk about what should be included in cost, what should not be included in cost. Subsequent measurement. Initially we will disclose the asset at cost. Subsequently what will happen? What if you still own that asset? Should it always continue at cost or are there certain adjustments to be made? Adjustments should be made. Like what? Increase in the value of the asset. Give an example better. I buy a land at 10 crore rupees. The market value of that has become 100 crores. So what should I do now? Transfer it to revaluation. Mandatory hai karna? No idea. Okay, beta. Then let's ignore the example. Subsequent measurement, guys. Depreciation. Okay, we'll talk about what if it's an item of inventory. Alag alag. What if it is an investment? What if it is plant and machinery? Taki you cover all the cases. I bought an inventory for an amount of 1 crore rupees. That is my cost. I bought investment for 1 crore. I bought plant and machinery for 1 crore. ठीक है? Talking about the first item beta, inventory. This inventory is not yet sold. If it is already sold, what will happen to this? It will get transferred to P&L account. I will transfer consumption of inventory to P&L account. I will also book revenue in my P&L account. Won't I book revenue guys? The difference between the cost and my revenue will be my profit. I bought it for 1 crore. I sold it for 1.5 crores. The differential 50 lakhs is going to be my profit. But what if I do not sell this? It is still lying with me. The cost of this inventory is how much? 1 crore rupees. क्या करना चाहिए? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Why should we do that? Conservative. Subsequent measurement guys depends on how are you. ठीक है बेटा. All right guys. इसका market value say is 90 lakhs. So तुम्हारे हिसाब से I should value this at what amount? Investment 90 lakhs है. What should I value it at? 1 crore is the cost of my investment. Market value is 90 lakhs. I bought the shares of Reliance beta at 1 crore rupees. the cost, market value, or I bought the shares of DMart as such, beta, say for a consideration of 1 crore. You will understand the example of DMart, beta. We have few amazing investors here in the class. So I bought the shares of DMart, beta, at 1 crore rupees. Market value of that has come down to 90 lakhs. What should I show my investments at? 1 crore rupees or 90 lakh rupees? 1 crore, not 90 lakhs. Yes, beta. How many of you in favor of 1 crore? How many of you 1 crore? 2 लोग अभी तो 1 crore कराना पे फिर आधा फेवर में एवरेज लेंगे हाँ. How many of you in favor of 90 lakhs? बाकी के लोग are engineering students. How many of you have understood what I'm talking, guys? I purchased investment at market value of that is. Should I disclose this investment in my books at 1 crore or should I disclose it at 90 lakhs? अभी हाथ उठाने में क्या जा रहा था बे? अब वापस पूछ रहा हूं. How many of you think I should disclose it at 1 crore? Please raise your hands. I'll not ask questions, guys, again. How many of you think it should be at 90 lakhs? And बाकी के लोग बेटा जो हाथ नहीं उठाए अभी, I'll ask you questions. You tell me बेटा, why is it not 1 crore? Why is it not 90 lakhs? I know many of you beta did not raise hands. Purvi, you raised hands. For what beta? For both? For 1 crore. Ishanvi. चल बेटा फेक. तपेश अभी हाथ उठा रहा है बेटा तू. हाँ कहाँ के बाकी का परिवार? You have only 2 people sitting next to you. Tapesh usually sits with 7-8 people, guys. नहीं आज अयो बोर हो रहा है. Anyways, backbenchers बेटा. देवांश 1 crore. निहल इनको देखो ऑक्शन कर रहे साले आईपीएल में. 1. Plant and machinery beta, you purchased it at 1 crore rupees. Market value is 90 lakhs. What price will you disclose it at? 90 lakhs. Now pay attention, guys. Investments beta, the ones who have answered 1 crore are also correct. The ones who have answered 90 lakhs are also correct because it will depend on the type of investment. Oh, correct beta. Please start beta. Huh? So what difference does it make? చెప్పండి మేడం. షార్ట్ టర్మ్ అంటే ఏం చేయాలి? అయ్యో అవర్ విష్. వై సో? Should I talk? All right, guys. Subsequent measurement, guys, of any asset depends on the way you are going to derive the economic benefit from that asset. ये ध्यान से सुनना बेटा, because all of this is very important. If your objective is to sell that asset and realize benefit out of it, you are always supposed to compare the cost of that asset with its market value. If your objective is to hold the asset and generate economic benefit by holding the asset, you are not going to compare the cost of that asset with the market value. Subsequent measurement will depend on how are we going to derive economic benefit. ये ऐसे सुन रहे फाउंडेशन वाले बेवकूफ, इन्वेंट्रीज में भी पढ़ा है सब. So guys, what is the objective of holding finished goods inventory? Why did you buy that stock of crackers better? To sell them for a change. Yes or no, guys? Objective is to sell them because you're a dealer of crackers as such, guys, and you will get economic benefit out of it. So if the market value of that has come down to 90 lakhs, will you be able to recover the cost of the asset? You purchased it at for what price? What is the economic benefit that you're going to derive out of it? Standard ये बोलेंगे बेटा, any accounting standard beta will tell us that boss, because the economic benefit out of that is only 90 lakhs, please write down the inventory to 90 lakhs. You cannot continue to disclose that inventory at 1 crore. Let us talk about investment. Investments can be current investments, can be long-term investments. Current investment beta, objective is to sell them in the near future. You do not intend to hold those investments. Your intention is to sell the investments in the near future. That is why the current investment. Standard बोलेगा 12 months. अभी के लिए बेटा let us say short term. As per accounting standard, if your intention is to sell them within a time period of 12 months, it is a current investment. Otherwise, it is a long-term investment. If your intention is to sell them in the near future, guys, what is the likely amount that you're going to realize? But what is the amount at which it is being disclosed in the market, in the books of accounts? Will you be able to recover the economic benefit if the market value remains at 90 lakhs? I will have to write down the investment to 90 lakhs. But what if this is a long-term investment? There can be temporary ups and downs as such, but that keep happening in the market prices. It says, anyways, you do not intend to sell the investments in the near future. Do you intend to sell them? Standard up bolega, you can continue to disclose the investments at 1 crore rupees. Are you getting the point better here? Plant and machinery, guys. Why do you purchase plant and machinery? To sell it or use it in the business? When your intention is to use it in the business and when you do not intend to sell that plant and machinery at all as such, beta, will it make any sense for you to compare the cost of the machine with the market value? You will continue to disclose the asset at what price? Subject to depreciation, of course. That's a different story. But you will disclose the asset beta at 1 crore rupees. Are you getting the point? So subsequent measurement will always depend on what aspect? Standard में मत देखो बेटा, मतलब you do not go by different principles and different standards. All of them will be based on one single principle only. Objective is to understand how are you going to derive economic benefit. If your objective is to derive economic benefit by selling it, then please compare it with the market value. If your objective is to hold it, please do not compare with market value. You can continue to disclose that at cost. What if I invest in the shares of a great company as such, beta? I intend to hold it for a very long period. The price of that company has come down to 10 lakhs. Okay. Why did it come down to 10 lakh rupees? It was a fraud. Okay. There was something that was happening with the organization, let us say as such, and that is why the price came down to 10 lakh rupees. Now standards will tell us, even if you intend to hold it for long term, you will not be able to recover that 1 crore. Even if you hold it for the next 10 years, you will not be able to realize that 1 crore. इसके लिए अलग provisions रहेंगे. Just because you intend to hold it for long term, that does not mean better you start disclosing it at cost always. Prima facie, what is the answer? If you are holding something for a longer period, you should disclose it at cost. If your intention is to sell it in the near future, then cost or market value, whichever is lower. You cannot record profit. 1 crore का अगर 120 lakhs हो गया बेटा, I cannot disclose that profit of 20 lakhs. It should be disclosed only at 1 crore. Now you can talk about your prudence concept as such, beta, conservatism, that you can recognize all the losses, anticipated losses, but you cannot recognize all your gains till you have actually realized it. Are you getting the point? So what is the recognition criteria? Cost can be measured and probable that there will be future economic benefits. Initial measurement is always at subsequent measurement depends on how are we going to derive economic benefit. This is what you're supposed to state. If the objective is to sell it in the near future, beta, then cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Why do we buy raw material, guys? To sell it or use it in the business? Raw materials are not valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower, though it is an item of inventory. Only finished goods are valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. You do not have an intention to sell that raw material. Do you have an intention? अब इसलिए raw material का principle बेटा, I'm just explaining it for your understanding. You do not have to note down all of that. थोड़ा yawn करना बंद करो बे, वरना क्लास के बाहर जाओ. Let us say that the cost of raw material is 100 rupees. The market price of that raw material beta is 85. Standard will say, though the market price of the raw material has come down to 85, no problem. Let us continue to disclose it at 100. Let us say, guys, on this raw material, I will incur other expenses. Those are equal to 150. Total amount. And finished product has a market price of 300. Am I able to sell the finished product at a profit? That means, am I able to recover the entire 100 rupees? Will I be able to recover that value of 100? Continue to disclose raw material at intention. समझ रहे हो guys? Intention of the standards is very clear. Will you be able to recover that amount or not by holding it? By converting this raw material into finished product, am I able to recover that 100 rupees better? Continue to disclose raw material at 100. I will not say 100 rupees or market value of 85, whichever is lower. But what if, sir, the market price of finished product has come down to 240? Now, will I be able to recover the cost of raw material? Now, standard will make references to market price. It will say, because the finished product in which you are going to incorporate raw material will not recover the cost of raw material, you will have to bring down the raw material cost to 85 rupees. Because I will not be able to recover that 100. Intention is very clear in all the standards. Check if you will be able to recover that benefit or not. Fixed asset beta, अभी और एक standard आएगा बाद में, called as AS28, impairment of asset. I purchased plant and machinery for 1 crore. ठीक है? Market value of that plant and machinery is 80 lakhs. What did I just tell you? Will you disclose plant and machinery at 1 crore or 80 lakhs? But there is still some provision beta in AS28 which says, what if by using the asset also, you will not be able to recover 1 crore? What if your product is so great that no one wants to buy it? समझ में आ रहा है guys? I have a plant and machinery whose capacity is 1 lakh units. The demand for the product is 0 units now. Or the demand is say 5,000 units. Are you getting the point? I will not be able to recover 1 crore by using the asset. Abhi, can I disclose the asset at 1 crore? That's a separate provision, guys. Are we clear? वो कैसे करना है, क्या करना है, we'll learn that later. We will have to incorporate present value and everything as such. अभी के लिए बेटा that is not relevant. अभी के लिए इतना समझो that yes, even if you're disclosing something at cost, there will be provisions which will tell us that if you are not able to recover that cost, you will have to bring it down. You cannot continue to disclose that at a higher amount. Are we clear about this? Yes or no, guys? Now, one more part better and then we'll write cost. I just told you that initial measurement of any asset is that the ones who are already done with costing beta, please do not answer. Let the others also answer. When you say cost beta, the basic principle is any expenditure that you are incurring in relation to the asset that is required to bring the asset to the present location and condition should be included in cost. If it is not required to bring the asset to the present location and condition, it should not be included in. I bought an air conditioner, for example, to install it in the classroom. I went to the market, I purchased it, say for 50,000 rupees. Then I'm incurring 2,000 rupees on transportation. Is it required for me to use the air conditioner? Yes or no? What should I do with that transportation cost? Add it to the cost of the asset. What if I paid another 2,000 rupees for installation? Add it to the cost of the asset. What if I bought a stabilizer for 1,500 for that AC? Add it to the cost of the asset. After 1 month, what if I did not like the position of the AC better and I'm shifting it by incurring a cost of 5,000? Do not add it to the cost of the asset. It was your foolishness that you have shifting the asset from one location to another location. It was not required for you to use it. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Any expenditure that is required to bring the asset to its present location and condition, provided the burden of that expenditure is on your head. If the burden of that expenditure is not on your head, you should not include it. 50,000 में AC खरीदे. That's inclusive of transportation cost. On transportation, there is a cost of 2,000 payable by the other person. Will you add it to the cost of the asset? Is it going out of your pocket? It is not going out of your pocket. Only if it is going out of your pocket, you can add it to the cost of the asset. Otherwise, it is not required to be included in the cost of the asset. Is that clear, बेटा गर्वित? साइड में हट जा बेटा. जिन का चेहरा नहीं दिखता उनको क्लास के बाहर आज. समझ में आ रहा है? So, you can move your places a little bit if you think that I will not be able to see your face. Otherwise, you'll be out of the class. Is that clear, Nehal? So, any doubt in this part, guys? I am buying finished goods. After I buy finished goods, I intend to hold them for 20 days and then sell it. I'm buying it. I will hold it for 20 days and then sell it. I'm incurring storage cost for those 20 days. What should I do with that storage cost? Huh? You should not add it, sir. Why will you add it? Was it required for you to sell the inventory? Please understand. Why did you buy inventory? What is the ultimate intention of buying inventory? To sell it. To sell the inventory, was it required to be stored for 20 days? It is your decision that you would want to store that inventory for 20 days. The minute you buy the inventory, was it not available for its immediate use? It was available for its immediate use. If you store that inventory for 2 years, will you add the transport storage cost for 2 years to the cost of inventory? Or what if you end up storing it for 10 years? बच्चे जब बड़े होंगे साथ में मिलके बेचेंगे बोल के. Will you add it to the cost of inventories, guys? No. समझ में आ रहा नहीं आ रहा है? What if you are incurring other expenses जैसे carriage inwards है बेटा, insurance है. Okay, you are incurring insurance बेटा for transit. I'm buying the inventory from Chennai. I have to transport those goods from Chennai to Hyderabad. What if those goods get damaged? That is why I've taken an insurance during transit. What should I do with that? Add it to the cost of inventories. After I buy inventories as such, guys, I store them. I have taken storage insurance. Can I take insurance for inventories that are lying at my place also? Is it required for you to sell the inventory? I will not add it to the cost of the inventories. Question yourself only this: is it required or not? If it is not required, you should not add it. If it is required, you should. हर जगह यही है बेटा. Fixed asset में भी यही पढ़ेंगे तुम लोग. Plant and machinery में they will tell us all the expenses that you are incurring till the asset is available for its. Once the asset is available for use, thereafter any expenditure should not be added to the cost of the asset. जैसे in plant and machinery we will learn trial run बोल के रहता है एक. Trial run matlab to check whether the asset is functioning properly or not. Is it an expenditure required to check whether the asset is available for use or not? What will you do with that expenditure? Add it to the cost of the asset. It is available for use, but you did not use it for 1 year. What will you do during that time? Whatever expenses that you're incurring, to not add it. I did not use it for 1 year, better. Now I have to maintain that asset. I'm incurring maintenance expenditure. Will I add it to the cost of the asset? No. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? So when you say cost, it should be something that is directly related to the acquisition, and it should be required for you to bring the asset to the present location and condition. When I say condition, condition matlab beta for its intended purpose. If you are incurring expenditure for that, please add it. Otherwise, do not add it. You have constructed a factory as such beta here in Hyderabad. For some reason, you want to shift that from Hyderabad to say some other city. The transportation shifting cost as such beta cannot be added. It's an abnormal item, guys. That is your personal problem or whatever it is as such, guys, that you're shifting the factory from one location to an other location. Are we very clear about this? Yes or no, guys? समझ में आ गया ये? चलो बेटा, write down. I hope you've got new notebooks, guys. हाँ, very good. दो तीन notebooks तो लगी जाएगी बेटा. Accounts है ये, लंबा चलेगा. Accounts, guys, are usually finished in about 260 to 70 hours. Somewhere 250, 260, 270, 280 in the range depending on the students. So yeah, every day I'll be taking classes till Feb mid as such beta, 4 hours on a normal basis, sometimes 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours. It will go on. Heading क्या लिखना है पता है? Basic concepts. Basic concepts. Now, first beta start writing asset. Asset. An asset is a present resource. An asset is a present resource. Asset is a present resource. Present resource within the control of the entity. Present resource within the control of the entity. Within the control of the entity. Arising on account of a past event. Arising on account of a past event. Arising on account of a past event. Past event. Which is expected to result in. Which is expected to result in. Expected to result in future economic benefits. which is expected to result in future economic benefits. Future economic benefits. Example 1. Employee training expenditure. Employee training expenditure. Employee training expenditure. Training expenditure results in future economic benefit. Results in future economic benefits. Employee training expenditure results in future economic benefits. But it cannot be disclosed as an asset. It cannot be disclosed as an asset. It cannot be disclosed as an asset. Brackets में cannot be capitalized. It cannot be disclosed as an asset. In brackets, cannot be capitalized. Cannot be capitalized. As the entity has no control. As the entity has no control. As the entity has no control over the expenditure. The entity has no control over the expenditure. Over the expenditure. Brackets में. It cannot sell or retain. It cannot sell or retain. It cannot sell or retain. Second point. Advertisement expenditure. Advertisement expenditure also results in. Advertisement expenditure also results in future economic benefit. Advertisement expenditure also results in future economic benefit. However, there is no resource created. There is no resource created. The company cannot sell. The company cannot sell the advertisement expenditure. The company cannot sell advertisement expenditure. Advertisement expenditure. Hence, it cannot be capitalized. It cannot be capitalized. It cannot be capitalized. Next, third point. Inventories purchased. Inventories purchased. Third point. Inventories purchased satisfy the definition of asset. Satisfy the definition of asset. Inventories purchased satisfy the definition of asset even if they are meant for immediate disposal. Even if they are meant for immediate disposal. Even if they are meant for immediate disposal. They will be disclosed as asset. They will be disclosed as asset. They will be disclosed as asset. As asset till they are sold. They will be disclosed as asset till they are sold. Next. Stock of bottles, fourth one. Stock of bottles. stock of bottles, stock of bottles left at a bar, left at the bar is an asset, is an asset for the bar. Is an asset for the bar as the bar exercises control over it. As the bar exercises control over it. Is an asset for the bar as the bar exercises control over it. Control over it. Next, better. Side reading. Recognition criteria. Recognition criteria. Recognition criteria. Next, guys. Likho. The initial measure, initial recognition, the initial recognition, initial recognition, the initial recognition of any asset, initial recognition of any asset is always at cost, is always at cost. Initial recognition of any asset is always at cost. Why is it always at cost? Guys, if they let you recognize any asset at any value, guys, you will end up recognizing gains in advance. If I tell you that the value of this inventory is 1 crore, record at 1 crore, chalo kar lo bolke. Now imagine that your cost for you beta was 1 lakh only, but you're still recording it at 1 crore. Are you not indirectly recording a gain of 99 lakhs immediately? That is why, guys, any accounting standard initial measurement will always be at cost. It does not matter which asset are we dealing with. एक दो standard है beta that subsequently will let us measure assets at revalued amount. But prima facie initially it is always at cost only. We cannot violate that. Are we clear beta? Not recording at cost will result in recognition of gains. वो लिख लो. Not recording at cost. Not recording at cost, not recording at cost, not recording at cost will result in not recording at cost will result in recognition of unrealized gains, will result in recognition of unrealized gains. Unrealized gains. Hence, an asset can be recognized. An asset can be recognized. An asset can be recognized if and only if and only if asset can be recognized if and only if, first point, cost can be measured, cost can be measured, second point, it is probable that it will result in, second point guys, it is probable that it will result in, it will result in future economic benefits. It is probable that it will result in future economic benefits. Are we clear, guys? Now, what is the example that I gave you, beta, that fails to meet the recognition criteria? Goodwill. Any goodwill or only internally generated goodwill? If you are acquiring goodwill, can you recognize that as an asset in your books of accounts? You know the cost, you know that it will result in future economic benefits. Are we clear, guys? Next, beta, what if I am undertaking some research? Right now, I am not sure whether the research phase will be successful or not. But I know the cost exactly. I have incurred a cost of 1 crore rupees on my research work till date. But I'm not sure till now whether it will be successful or not. Can I capitalize it? Why? I know the cost. Second point is not met. It is not probable that there will be future economic benefits. ये जाके अपन AS 26 में पढ़ेंगे. That any amount that you incur during research phase should be transferred to profit and loss account. The minute you realize that research phase is successful, after that whatever you're incurring, तब तक का नहीं. After that whatever you're incurring can be capitalized because the recognition criteria is met only then. Only then you know that there will be inflow of future economic benefits. అర్థమవుతుందా చెప్పింది? Yes or no, guys? लिखो बेटा. First point below that. Internally generated goodwill. Internally generated goodwill. Internally generated goodwill cannot be recognized as an asset. Internally generated goodwill cannot be recognized as an asset. Cannot be recognized as an asset as the cost of creating such goodwill is not known. As the cost of creating such goodwill is not known. As the cost of creating such goodwill is not known. Is not known. Next. Second point. Acquired goodwill can be disclosed. Acquired goodwill can be disclosed. Can be disclosed as it meets both the recognition criteria. As it meets both the recognition criteria. As it meets both the recognition criteria. Next. Expenditure incurred on research. Expenditure incurred on research cannot be capitalized. Expenditure incurred on research cannot be capitalized. Cannot be capitalized. As it is not probable that there will be inflow of. As it is not probable. As it is not probable that there will be inflow of economic benefits. As it is not probable that there will be inflow of economic benefits. Economic benefits. Are we clear about this, guys? Sir, what if you acquire an asset whose cost for you is 0 rupees? Possible. Government is giving you a land free of cost. Why is the government doing that? So that you can construct some factory on it, generate employment opportunities for everyone. That is the intention. So if the government is giving away a piece of land to you but at 0 cost, what should be the recognition? Market. Okay. Market value of that land beta is 100 crore rupees. Government is giving you at 0 rupees. You will record the land at 100 crores. So if you're recording land at 100 crores, balance sheet में ये land है 100 crores. ठीक है? ये balance sheet tally नहीं होती अभी. Where will that 100 crores go? Profit and loss account. अरे पैसा कमाए ना अपन. फ्री में आया land. फिर see, if you are buying the land as such, beta, cash will reduce by 100 crores. Or if you have taken a loan as such, beta, your loan amount will increase by whatever it is. You can either buy the asset for cash consideration or you can buy the asset, beta, by availing a loan. Yes or no? But what if this land of 100 crore rupees is being acquired at 0 cost? You are not paying anything for this land. Then what? हाँ, why 1 rupee? तेरा अकाउंट हो चुका है बेटा. Anyone else, guys? Not relevant answer. But ठीक है, I'm happy कुछ तो याद है देखो. Correct answer, guys. You recorded at 1 rupee. Nominal value. Why that, sir? Just to disclose the asset in your books of accounts. Objective is to disclose somewhere that yes, boss, we own it. We cannot disclose that at market value because disclosing that at market value as such beta would mean that you're recognizing a gain. Are you not indirectly recognizing a gain as such, guys? So that is not allowed. So that is why beta will standards हर जगह यही बोलेंगे that record it at gain, nominal value. That nominal value beta can be 1 rupee. If you think 1 rupee is too less, then 100 rupees. 100 crores beta will not be nominal value. ठीक है, जानते 100 crores में रिकॉर्ड कर बोल के नहीं. It can be 1 rupee, it can be 100 rupees depending on your balance sheet as such beta. Remember the example of stock of bottles left at a bar? Yes or no? What is the cost of that to the bar? We learned that it should be shown as an asset because we have control over it. Don't we have control over it? What is the cost of those bottles to the bar? 0. The bar will disclose those stock of bottles in their books of accounts at nominal value, say 1 rupee. Anywhere beta wherein something meets the asset recognition criteria, you are acquired, matlab you have control over it, you will be able to sell it immediately as such beta, but the cost of that is 0 to you. Only then as such beta you will disclose that at nominal. This is only for acquired assets. अब ये मत बोलना sir, internally generated goodwill can we show at 1 rupee in the books? क्या करोगे बे? Are you acquiring goodwill from someone beta? No, right. Stock of bottles beta are being acquired here as such, guys. Land from the government is being acquired. ठीक है? What if land का cost is 100 crores, government is giving it to you at 10 crores? तब तो problem is solved है ना बेटा. What is the cost to you? You will record the land at 10 crore rupees. You cannot record the land beta at any other amount. Are we clear? So wherever guys you know that the cost of an asset is 0, you're supposed to record that asset at nominal value. Remember this for every accounting standard. Are we very clear? लिखो बेटा ये भी. Next note बोल के लिखो. If an asset is being acquired at 0 cost, if an asset, क्या हुआ कृष्णा? हाँ, पेन चले गई. पूर्वी एक्स्ट्रा पेन है मिल गया देखो. हाँ, if an asset, भूल गया यार मैं क्या बोल रहा था. Yeah, if an asset is being acquired at 0 cost, if an asset is being acquired at 0 cost, it should be disclosed in the books at nominal value. It should be disclosed in the books at nominal value. Nominal value. Example beta iska. Government is giving free land to a business entity. Government is giving free land to a business entity because we bribed the officials. No. Government is giving free land to a business entity. Full stop. उतना ही बस. Do not write because we bribed. वो अलग बात है. वो under the table रहता. It will not come in books of accounts. Correct, Shabazz? Are we clear about this, guys? नोट्स में क्या लिखेगी? वो फिक्स्ड एसेट रजिस्टर में बताना पड़ता है बेटा, एसेट में ये है बोल के, इसीलिए बताते हैं. नॉमिनल वैल्यू से भी क्या फर्क पड़ता है, 1 रुपये तो है ना यार. हाँ, यू डोंट लाइक दैट. 1 रुपये अच्छा नहीं है. अच्छा बेटा ठीक है, डोंट रन अ बिजनेस. एनीवेज गाइस बेटा ये दिस इज नथिंग कॉल्ड एज लकी नंबर. ये वो ठीक है रिकॉर्ड नो कुछ है लकी नंबर ऐसे 2 रुपीज 3 रुपीज 4 रुपीज. हाँ 1 रुपये अच्छा नहीं है कहते. Next beta, so this was about initial measurement guys as well as recognition criteria. ठीक है. What did I talk about beta? Subsequent measurement. What under subsequent measurement? Directly cost और NRV whichever is lower बोले ना, लगाऊंगा वापस, इतना पढ़ाया. Subsequent measurement of an asset beta will depend on the way we derive economic benefits from the asset. Are we clear about this? लिखो बेटा, subsequent measurement. The subsequent measurement of an asset, subsequent measurement of an asset, subsequent measurement of an asset depends on, subsequent measurement of an asset depends on the way we derive, depends on the way we derive, depends on the way we derive economic benefit from the asset. Depends on the way we derive economic benefit from the asset. On the way we derive economic benefit from the asset. The cost of an asset can never exceed the cost of an asset, brackets में बेटा, carrying amount. Cost of an asset, brackets में carrying amount. CARRYING, carrying amount. The cost of an asset in brackets carrying amount can never exceed, can never exceed the economic benefit to be derived from the asset, to be derived from the asset. Next sentence, next line. If an asset is held for sale, if an asset is held for sale, if the asset is held for sale, how are you going to derive economic benefit? How are you going to derive economic benefit? Economic benefit, economic benefit, economic benefit will be derived by selling it. Economic benefit will be derived by selling it, by selling it, and it will be equal to, and it will be equal to, it will be equal to market value minus expenses to sell. It will be equal to market value minus expenses to sell. Market value minus expenses to sell. ये economic benefit की बात कर रहा हूँ बेटा मैं. Now if you read that sentence again, first I told you that no matter what happens, the cost of an asset cannot exceed economic benefit that you're going to derive from an asset. Yes or no? If an asset is held for sale, then the only way you derive economic benefit is by selling it, and that economic benefit will be equal to market value minus expenses. That is why, guys, if you look at finished goods के लिए बेटा, what do you do? Valuation, subsequent measurement जो है बेटा, it says cost or NRV, net realizable value, whichever is. If NRV is more, we have no problem. We will continue to record the asset at. But if NRV is less than cost, are you able to recover the entire cost? That is where you will bring down the inventory to its NRV. Why do we use the word NRV and not market price? When it comes to inventories as such, guys, there is a substantial amount of selling and distribution expenditure. Market price of the inventory is not the amount that you're going to get. If the selling price of an iPhone beta is $999, Apple is not realizing $999 out of it. Isn't there a huge amount of selling and distribution expenditure? Roughly 30% of the MRP, guys, goes away only in selling and distribution expenditure for Apple. That means they are going to get only $700 out of it. So should they compare the cost of an iPhone beta with $999 or $700? $700. Any item of inventory beta, there'll be huge amount of selling and distribution expenditure. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Yes or no, kids? So that is why the valuation is cost or NRV, whichever is lower. BCom students, beta, remember you cannot ever book profits in advance. So you cannot say that we will directly record inventory at NRV. You cannot record gains in advance. That is why it has to be cost or NRV, whichever is lower. If NRV is less, that means you're recording loss. You purchase an inventory for 100 rupees or साथ बेटा. Say the cost of an inventory is 100, NRV is 110. कितने में record करोगे? Valuation beta should be at 100. Cost of an inventory beta is 100 rupees. NRV has come down to 80 rupees. Now at what price are you going to record? Under no circumstances can you record gain. You should definitely book all your losses, anticipated losses. Are we clear about this? Now when it comes to investments beta, current investments, the valuation principle that we are going to learn. Current investments का मतलब क्या बोला था मैं अभी? The one which you have purchased with an intention to sell them in the near future, that is not exceeding 12 months. So if at all you are holding a current investment as such, guys, then the valuation principle is cost or fair value. यहाँ पे NRV word use नहीं करते हैं. Because when it comes to investments, guys, selling expenses are marginal, very, very less. Today, if I want to sell shares of Reliance as such, guys, I might incur an expenditure of, abhi beta, these apps as such, guys, let us sell all the expenses, shares as such, guys, for zero brokerage. I just have to incur STT beta, security transaction tax, and some amount of GST on that amount. Uske alawa, there is no other expenditure only. So even if I am executing a trade worth 1 lakh rupees, my overall expenditure as such beta might only be 100, 200 rupees on a higher side. Isn't that marginally lower in comparison to the market value? That is why for investments, we do not use the word cost or NRV. We use the word. Are you getting the point here? Because selling expenses are marginal. They are very, very less. In inventories, the share of selling expenses are very high. That is why we make references to NRV and not to fair value. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? So this is better the valuation principle, guys, for current investments. Make a note of both of them. Finished goods valuation is cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Current investments valuation principle is cost or fair value, whichever is lower. Valuation हो गया बेटा, फर्स्ट वाला लिख लिए, cost or NRV whichever is lower. Then two examples. First one is cost is 100, NRV is 110, so you will value at 100. Next one, cost is 100, NRV is 80, so you will value at 80. Current investments valuation is cost or fair value, whichever is lower. Cost or fair value, whichever is lower. Last second bench, blue shirt. What's your name, beta? Ayush. Done, guys. Next, beta. This was about assets, beta, that are held for sale. Write down next sentence. If an asset is expected to be utilized, if an asset is expected to be utilized in the normal course of business, expected to be utilized, आराम से लेंगे आकांक्षा, If an asset is expected to be utilized in the normal course of business or intended to be held for a longer period, or intended to be held for a longer period, intended to be held for a longer period, intended to be held for a longer period. The assets will be valued at, the assets are generally valued at cost, are generally valued at cost. There will be no direct comparison. There will be no direct comparison. There will be no direct comparison. Direct comparison with the market value. There will be no direct comparison with the market value. With the market value. Next. ये भी लिख लो बेटा. The intention is not to, continuation. The intention is not to sell the asset. The intention is not to sell the asset to realize economic benefit. The intention is not to sell the asset to realize economic benefit. To realize economic benefit. समझ में आ गया बेटा ये? Now example, उसके नीचे first point. What is the example that I gave बेटा? Plant and machinery was one. The other example was raw material. तुम लोग क्या बोले? Long-term investments. Anything is fine, but long-term investments also, guys, the intention is not to sell. Raw material also, the intention is not to sell. Plant and machinery also, intention is not to sell. Look over the first point. Plant and machinery is valued at cost minus accumulated depreciation. Cost minus accumulated depreciation. Cost minus accumulated depreciation. How to calculate depreciation and all of that is another discussion, guys. Abhi ke liye bas cost minus depreciation. Long-term investments. Long-term investments. Normally valued at cost. Next, raw materials. Raw materials. Raw materials are normally valued at cost. Raw materials are normally valued at cost. Normally valued at cost. Even if the market value of the raw material is lower. Even if the market value of the raw material is lower than cost. Lower than cost. The finished product, continuation guys. The finished product in which the raw material is incorporated. The finished product in which the raw material is incorporated. In which the raw material is incorporated. Should recover the cost of raw material. Should recover the raw cost of raw material. Should recover the cost of raw material. Are we clear? Any doubt in this? Now beta, next heading, cost of an asset. ये हो गया beta regarding recognition criteria, initial measurement and subsequent measurement. Now whenever we move to any particular standard as such guys, we'll come back to these basic points only and then understand what should be the valuation principle in that standard. Are we clear? Now beta, cost of an asset. Every standard beta will have the same point again. What did I tell you guys? Cost of an asset includes all the expenses that are directly attributable beta to bringing the asset to its present location and conditions so that it is capable of being used for its intended purpose. Alright? Of course beta, its basic purchase price and all other incidental expenses will be included. Won't they be included? If someone is helping you beta with purchase of materials guys and you're paying brokerage to them, will you include that in the cost? Yes or no guys? If I'm buying raw material as such guys, say from some other state as such guys, and I take the services of a local person there who's charging a commission of 2%, what should I do with that commission of 2%? Add it to the cost of materials. Yes or no? What if I get some amount of trade discount on purchase? You know what is trade discount, right? Discount that is offered guys in the nature, normal course of business guys. So if there is any amount of trade discount or quantity discount, the MRP listed on the product is 100 rupees as such guys, and the product is being given to you beta, say at a discount of 25. So you get it at 75. Just if you're going to a pharmacy beta to buy a medicine, all the medicines of these days are sold at a discount of 20% on MRP beta. वो लोग 25% बोलते, but that 25% is calculated on cost. मतलब तुम्हारा जो effective price है, so that is 20% on MRP. So if the price of the medicine is 100 rupees, they will deduct 20 rupees beta and you will buy it at 80. What is your cost? 80 rupees only. Your cost is not 100 rupees. If there's any amount of trade discount or quantity discount, you adjust it from the price and then record the net price. What if he's giving you an additional discount of 2 rupees beta for immediate payment? You are getting a cash discount of 2 rupees beta for immediate payment, so you end up paying only 78 rupees, not even 80 rupees. What will you do beta? The asset beta will go to your balance sheet at 80 rupees. This discount income beta will go to your P&L account as 2 rupees. Cash discount does not arise on account of purchasing activity. It arises on account of payment activity. It is nowhere related to the procurement. That is why you should not adjust it. It will be separately transferred to P&L account. Are we clear about this? What if there are duties and taxes paid beta? Can there be some amount of duties and taxes? Yes or no? If you are buying some product as such beta at 100 rupees on which there was a GST of 18 rupees levied, the total amount that you are paying is how much? 118 rupees. What will be your cost? Will that be 100 rupees as such guys, or will that be 118? Now, for a business entity guys, they can claim credit of the taxes paid. For us beta, there is no credit of the taxes paid. If you go and buy a cell phone today as such guys, you will not get any refund of the taxes paid guys. If you are not getting refund of the taxes paid as such beta, then the entire price paid is your cost. But if a couple of your families beta who might be into businesses, they will not buy the cell phone in your name. They will directly buy the cell phone in the name of business. If they are buying the cell phone in the name of business guys, what they will disclose is that the cell phone is being used for the purpose of business. That is why they will be allowed to take credit of the taxes paid. Imagine that I'm buying a material beta by paying 118. This includes a GST of 18. I am selling this to my customer at 150 by levying a tax of 27. How much am I collecting? 177. This 27 rupees is supposed to go to government. This is not my income. I'm collecting GST. I have to remit this to. But when I remit this 27 rupees to the government, I will tell them that I already paid 18 rupees on my purchases. I will now pay only the balance. So though I am collecting 27 rupees from the customer, I'm paying only indirectly. Don't you think you're getting a refund of this 18 rupees? जो भी तुम लोग 18 रुपीज दिए बेटा, आर यू नॉट कलेक्टिंग दैट फ्रॉम योर कस्टमर नाउ एंड नॉट पेइंग इट टू द गवर्नमेंट? So is this your expenditure? This is not your expenditure. If you can get a credit of the amount of taxes paid, then that amount is not your expenditure. If you cannot get a credit of the amount of taxes paid, then it should be included in the cost of your procurement. Is that clear? Any amount of duties and taxes, guys, if they are refundable or credit can be claimed, you should not be including it in your cost. If you can claim credit of it, sorry, if you cannot claim credit of it as such beta, then you're supposed to include it in the cost. Just if you're importing something as such beta, you will pay customs, import duty. Import duty का कोई credit नहीं मिलता है. If you're not getting a credit of that import duty as such beta, is that your cost? It should be added to the cost of your procurement. Even if you are doing it for the purpose of your business, you will not be able to get a credit of that import duty paid. So it should be included in the cost of the product. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? बाकी दूसरे expenses बेटा, how will you judge whether it should be included or not? Check, is it required to bring it to its? If it is required, it should be added, otherwise it should not be. They say if I am buying a generator as such, guys, we'll learn this later again. Generators cannot be directly, big generators as such beta, you cannot directly place them on the floor. If you place them on the floor as such beta, the structural damage will be higher. That is why before installing a generator, we raise the flooring beta by 6 inches at least. There is an additional slab that is laid only for the space of generator. Now the cost of laying that additional 6 inches slab as such beta, what should I do with that? Add it. Add it to what? Without that I will not be able to use the generator. Yes or no, guys? So always go back and check this only. Is it required or not? If it is required, then yes, add it to the cost. If it was not required, you do not add it to the cost of the asset. Are we clear about this? Any doubt in this beta? Likho, guys. Side heading beta kya tha? Cost of an asset. The cost of an asset includes the cost of an asset includes the cost of an asset includes the basic purchase price, basic purchase price, basic purchase price, brokerage, basic purchase price, brokerage, brokerage, commissions, commission, transportation expenses, transportation expenses, transportation expenses, and any other expenditure, and any other expenditure, any other expenditure, any other expenditure which is directly related to acquisition, any other expenditure which is directly related to acquisition, directly related to acquisition, directly related to acquisition. The expenditure should be in relation to, the expenditure should be in relation to, expenditure should be in relation to, in relation to bringing the asset, bringing the asset, bringing the asset to its present location and condition, bringing the asset to its present location and condition, location and condition, such that, bringing the asset to its present location and condition such that it is capable of being used for its intended purpose. It is capable of being used for its intended purpose. Intended purpose. Next line. Example. Storage of inventory after acquisition. Storage of inventory after acquisition. Storage of inventory after acquisition. After acquisition. Is not required to use the inventory. Is not required to use the inventory. Is not required to use the inventory. And hence storage cost. And hence storage cost. Storage cost cannot be added to the cost of inventories. Shakal Siddhi. And hence storage cost cannot be added to the cost of inventories. Storage cost cannot be added to the cost of inventories. To the cost of inventories. Next line better. Duties and taxes. Next line. Duties and taxes. Duties and taxes. For which credit can be claimed. Duties and taxes for which credit can be claimed. Duties and taxes for which credit can be claimed should not be included in the cost of the asset. Should not be included in the cost of the asset. In the cost of the asset. As the burden of the expenditure. As the burden of the expenditure is not on the organization. As the burden of the expenditure is not on the organization. Is not on the organization. Next line. Trade discount and quantity discount. Trade discount and quantity discount. Trade discount and quantity discount. And quantity discount are in relation to procurement. Are in relation to procurement. Procurement. And hence it is adjusted. It is adjusted from the cost of the asset. It is adjusted from the cost of the asset. Cash discount is in relation to. Cash discount is in relation to. Cash discount is in relation to payment activity. Cash discount is in relation to payment activity. Payment activity. And hence it is transferred. It is transferred. It is transferred to P&L account. It is transferred to P&L account. उसके नीचे example. Purchase price 500. Trade discount 50. Net purchase price 450. Cash discount 10 rupees. Net payment 440. In the balance sheet, you're going to disclose the asset at a price of 450. What will you do with that 10 rupees? You will show discount income in your P&L account beta as 10 rupees. Purchase price is 500, trade discount is 50, net purchase price 450, cash discount is 10 rupees, and the net payment beta is 440 rupees. Inventories of, doesn't matter. You're talking about the treatment of cash discount, or are you talking about the treatment of storage cost? If, see, storage cost beta will be added if it is incurred during manufacturing process and it is required for manufacturing process. After you have purchased it, even if the inventory is of perishable nature and refrigeration is required, that is because you were not able to sell it immediately. You have purchased excess quantities and that is why you're storing it. That does not mean that you add it to the cost of inventory. Say for example, you own Ratnadeep stores as such, beta, there are perishable products stored even in Ratnadeep. Whatever storage costs that they incur as such, guys, will be directly transferred to P&L account. It cannot be added to the cost of inventories. Are you getting the point, beta? So doesn't matter whether it is something of a perishable nature or not. Is it available for immediate sale? If the answer is yes, thereafter whatever expenditure that you are incurring cannot be added to the cost of the asset. It will only be a part of your selling and distribution expenditure, which will definitely go to your profit and loss account. Is that clear, beta? Did you make a note of it? Chalo guys, today being the first day, guys, I'm giving a break. I'm not leaving you. ऐसा देख रहे थे, छोड़ दे रहा क्या बोल के ये. I'm giving a break, guys, of 10-15 minutes. We'll resume after the break. Online live students, the stream continues as such, beta. I will send a message in the group whenever the class is live. Alright guys, so we spoke about the definition of the word asset, recognition criteria. How do you define an asset? Asset is a present resource within the control of the entity, guys, which is expected to result in future economic benefits. What is the recognition criteria for an asset? The cost, अरे दरवाजा बंद करके आवे भूतनी की अरे cost can be measured, guys, and then it is probable that there will be inflow of future economic benefits. These two beta are the recognition criteria. After that, beta, I said the initial measurement of any asset will always be at cost. Subsequent measurement of an asset will depend on how are we deriving economic benefit from the asset. If the asset is held for sale, guys, what will you do? Compare the cost of the asset beta with the market value of the asset. Whichever is lower will be the recognition criteria, will be the measurement criteria, guys. After that beta, if the asset is not held for sale, if it is intended to be held for a longer period, then हाँ अड़ गया था, अटक गया था बोलते बेटा उसको, अड़ गया था कहते. Yes guys, फेरो के टाइम पे तेरी वाली अड़ जाएंगे कहीं. So guys, if the asset is meant to be used better for a longer period, we normally value the asset at cost unless we are not able to recover the economic benefit. Are we all clear about this? क्या हो कृतिका, सुन रही है? शक्ल सीधी कर, कोई सता रहा है क्या बाजू में? So guys, after that beta, are we all clear about this? What was the other thing that we have discussed? What should be included in the cost of an asset? When you talk about cost of an asset as such beta, it should include its basic purchase price. It should include all the expenses that are directly related as such, guys, to the acquisition of an asset that you are incurring to bring the asset beta to the present location and condition. Any doubt in all of these points? Yes or no, guys? अब आता है बेटा liability. Diya, do you know what's a liability? Please describe a liability, beta. Obligation. An obligation to pay will result in a liability. Anyone else, guys? ये सब समझ में आना बेटा. एसेट रिकग्निशन क्राइटेरिया एक हर एक स्टैंडर्ड में आएगा, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसीलिए वी आर कवरिंग ऑल ऑफ दोस बेसिक्स फर्स्ट. ऑलराइट, नाउ कमिंग टू द डेफिनेशन ऑफ द वर्ड लायबिलिटी, गाइस. What do you think should be the definition of the word liability? Yeah, Instagram wala definition. हाँ, it is a payment outstanding for the benefit received. You've already received some benefit. Against that, you are liable to pay some amount. That is one of the examples of outstanding expenses. You've received some services from someone, you're yet to pay for the amount. You purchase inventory, you're yet to pay for those inventories. Employees have worked for your organization, you're yet to pay for those services. That is why outstanding salaries. All right, anything else, guys? Krishna, yeah. I was expecting this. Yes, better. इतना सब आता है यार, फिर भी अकाउंट से मार्क्स क्यों नहीं लेके आया? रह गया बस वो, मेरे को भी नहीं मालूम बेटा. Anyways, said the textbook definition of the word liability, guys, is exactly what he said. The definition of the word asset was what? It is a resource within the control of the entity, guys, arising on account of a past event which is expected to result in future economic benefits. Liability is a present obligation within the control. बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है बेटा. Someone else is exercising control over it. It is a present obligation arising on account of a past event, the settlement of which is expected to result in outflow of economic resources. Instead of using the word resource, we are using the word obligation, arising on account of something that has happened in the past, the settlement of which is expected to result in future economic benefits. This is how outflow better of future economic benefits or future economic resources. There will be some outflow of resources from the organization. Now when you say obligation as such, guys, it need not be a contractual obligation. Obligation can arise on account of a law that is created, जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं legal obligation. When you say legal obligation as such, guys, imagine that you were supposed to pay taxes by 31st of October. Taxes were not paid by 31st of October. If it is not paid, the government is going to levy a penalty of 5,000 rupees. Are you obligated to pay 5,000 rupees now? Yes or no? You missed the deadline because you did not pay the amount of tax by 31st of October as such, but you will have to pay a penalty of 5,000 rupees. Who's creating this obligation? Government is creating through a legislation that was passed. इसको तुम लोग क्या बोलोगे? Legal obligation. Can there be an obligation arising on account of a contract? Say guys, you are providing services to your customers. You are selling goods. The goods that you are selling comes with a warranty period of 3 years. In the next 3 years, if something happens to that product, customer is entitled to get a replacement of a product. You're supposed to replace the part or you're supposed to replace the product. थोड़े cases में बेटा full product replacement रहता. Even if there's a minor scratch on the product as such, guys, or minor problem with the product as such, guys, they're going to replace the entire product itself. So, are you providing that warranty to your customers? Yes or no? Is there an obligation arising on account of this? Who's creating this obligation? Contract. What is that contract? Contract of sale. You have entered into a sale contract with your customer as such, beta. You sold a product to him with a warranty clause in it. The warranty clause makes it very clear, beta, that the customer can avail warranty. What if this was not provided in the contract, guys, but all the customers know that in case you go back to the organization within a time frame of 6 months, they will replace the product. Nowhere is it provided anywhere in the contract as such, beta, that there will be a warranty given for a period of 6 months. But all the customers are aware of the fact that even if you go back to the company within a time frame of 6 months, they will replace the product. समझ में आ रहा है क्या बोल रहा हूँ guys? Yes or no, guys? It happens, beta, sometimes that you go to a grocery store next to you as such, beta, you buy a product, then you realize that you purchased the incorrect product. You go back to that shop as such, beta, and say, गलती से कुछ दूसरा ले लिया मैं. I want to take that. Do they generally say no? They say, ठीक है, replace the product, put this back and take some other product. Are you getting the point better here? But it was not provided at the time of sale that they're going to take back the product, replace the product with something else. These are the obligations that arises on account of the normal business practices. So obligation can be created out of anything, guys. It can be a legal obligation, it can be a contractual obligation, or it can be out of the customs of the business trade practices. But if there is an obligation created on part of the company as such, better, then you are supposed to provide for that. When I say provide for that, you're supposed to disclose that as a liability in your books of accounts. Classic definition, better, was this. She gave the layman definition of that liability example. What was the definition that Vedika gave, better? You have already received services. You are yet to pay for the benefit that has already been received. Yes? Now, employees have rendered services, guys. Is there a liability created? Are you obligated to pay to your employees? Won't there be an employment contract with the people as such, but other? Every month they will render services. You will give them salaries by the 10th of next month or the 15th of next month, whatever be the contract as such, guys. Are you obligated to pay for those services? Is there an obligation being created on account of a past event, guys? Is the settlement of this expected to result in outflow of resources? So, will this satisfy the definition of the word liability? समझ में आ रहा है क्या बोल रहा हूँ guys? Yes or no? Next better. The warranty wala example that I gave as such, guys. Did you sell the product? That was the past event. On account of that, are you creating an obligation? What is the obligation? In case the customer comes back, you're supposed to replace the product. If there is a problem with the product, can this result in outflow of economic resources? Is this a liability of the organization? Is this a liability of the organization? The answer is definitely yes. Anything that is creating an obligation on part of the company as such, better, for that you will have to provide, you will have to recognize it as a liability. Now, liability se zyada beta, I am more interested in the definition of the word provision. Is everyone clear about the meaning of the word liability, guys? Wapis, how do you define liability? Textbook definition. Present obligation arising on account of a past event, the settlement of which is expected to result in outflow of economic resources. You had all of this, no, guys? There was a separate chapter in foundation, contingent liabilities, contingent assets, provision. Tha nahi tha? How do you define provision, guys? Tha sir, yaad nahi hai, bas पूछो मत. All of this was covered. How do you define provision? तू बोल रहा नाम क्या तेरा? विठल. आज करेंगे बेटा विठल विठल. बोल बैठ बैठ. What's a provision? हाँ, मैं गंदा मारता हूँ यार बहुत. देखो क्या लगता है मारता हूँ मैं. पूछा प्राची से कितने बार खाई तू? थोड़ा तो डरा बच्चों को पागल. Anyone else, guys, who knows the meaning of the word provision? Yes, बेटा कृष्णा. यार मार देगा ये मेरे को आज. क्रैक बेटा बैठ जा. एग्जाम में कुछ सदमा लगा हुआ था. Provision is nothing but a liability, guys, but which requires a substantial degree of estimation. The only factor that differentiates a pure liability, provision is also a liability, do not forget that provision is actually a subset of the word liability. But then what differentiates provision from other liabilities is that it is something that requires a substantial degree of estimation. If there is estimation in how you're determining the amount, it's a provision. If there is no estimation, it is not a provision. Jaise, whenever we are estimating our tax liability as such, beta, we disclose that under provisions. We do not disclose that under liabilities. The reason because is it is still an estimation. The actual amount will be determined only when the income tax authorities complete your assessment. Till they complete the assessment, we do not know what is the exact amount of liability. Till then, the amount can change. Because the amount can change, but you will be determining it as what? Provision. It will not be termed as. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? So anything that requires a substantial degree of estimation as such, guys, will be termed as a provision. अभी बेटा, I gave example of warranty. I said that you are selling a product which requires or which has a 3 years warranty period. Few customers can come back with claims, few customers may not come back with claims. Based on your past experience, it is expected that 5% of the customers can come back with warranty claims. Will this satisfy the definition of the word provision, or is it a pure liability? Why provision? It's a mere estimate. Based on our past experience, we are estimating that 5% of the customers of such beta might claim warranty. That is how you will provide for that loss now only. You are not going to provide for that expenditure beta as and when the customer comes back. अगर वो करोगे ना, you are violating a concept beta called as accrual. You are supposed to provide for all the known losses. Isn't, if someone is claiming warranty, guys, isn't that a loss for your organization? If that is a loss for your organization, are you supposed to provide for that loss now only? If you have sold the good, you're immediately supposed to also provide for warranty. You may not provide for the entire amount. You may provide only for 1%. You may provide only for 2%. A company that sells, better say 10 lakh units in a year might provide for warranty claims as such, guys, for 1% or 2%. जैसे बैटरी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, कार में जो बैटरी लगती है बेटा, हर जगह जो बैटरी लगती है, व्हीकल में बैटरी लगती है, they have a very high amount of warranty claims. They provide warranty. Few batteries come with a warranty period of 4 years. Few batteries बेटा come with a warranty period of 4 plus extended warranty another 12 months. अगर तुम्हारी बैटरी खराब हो जाती है first 12 months में, guys, they will directly give you a new battery. After 12 months, they give proportionate deduction. They might not directly give you a new battery as such, beta, but then they give a substantial amount. If you have paid 10,000 rupees for the battery, they might give you 8,000 rupees as an adjustment. So are they supposed to provide for this as and when you're returning the product, or are they supposed to provide for this immediately as and when they sell the product? As and when they sell the product. That is the entire point better here. At the time of sale only, there's an obligation that is being created. कि भाई अगर वो वापस आ रहा है, you're supposed to provide for those losses. Are you understanding this? Now the next example, guys. What if your organization is expected to incur? Say, I give this example better earlier also, I believe. Swiggy, better, your organization. Next year expected loss is 500 crores. This year we have incurred a higher loss. Next year, better, we are expecting as such, guys, that the loss is going to be 500 crore rupees. Am I supposed to provide for these losses now only? समझ में आ रहा क्या बोल रहा हूँ? I'm running the company as such, better. Next year we are expecting that the loss is going to be 500. Should I make a provision for that loss now? Yes or no? No. Blue t-shirt, right? What's your name? यश. यस सर है या यश ही है? यश ही है. ठीक है बेटा. वाई नहीं? वाई नो? We have no proof whether we'll incur. नहीं बेटा, मतलब current year the loss was 5,000 crore rupees. ये 500 crores is being very optimistic. This is not the actual loss of Swiggy, but I'm just taking random numbers. If you are subscribing to the IPO, well and good. This is just some random figures being considered. All right. So 5,000 crore is the current year loss. Next year on a very optimistic side as such, better, we are expecting that the loss will come down to 500 crores. Okay, this is being very optimistic. One normal scenario, better, we are expecting that the loss can be 3,000 crores also. So what do you think? Should we provide for this loss? Now, the answer is still no. What, Yash? Yes or no? Can't say. Correct, better. Next, better, green shirt. जो तो yawn कर रहा था. What's your name? Vineet should make a provision. Why do we need to make a provision? अच्छा, we need बोला. तेरा नाम क्या है? Akshat. Oh my God. I heard it as Vineet. हाँ, we need to make a provision. Why should we need to make a provision? We are estimating the losses, and that is why. What's the definition of the word liability? Liability, liability. Abhi, textbook definition. Present obligation arising on account of a past event which is expected to result in outflow of future economic benefits. Now, can we apply that definition here and check if this satisfies that definition? First sentence kya hai? Present obligation. Tell me what is obligating here? Who's creating that obligation? We are creating. किसके साथ? मतलब when you say obligation, beta, isn't that something between two parties as such, guys? Yes or no? किसके साथ? Swiggy. Left hand, right hand, huh? Next financial year के साथ we are entering into guys, नहीं बेटा. There's no provision required. There is no obligation, guys. Provisions are only created for those things wherein you are what if I shut down the business this year? Can I shut down the business better this year? There is no provision ever required for future operating losses because you are not obligated to incur those losses. It is very important for you to go by the definition. Obligation रहना चाहिए. ऐसे थोड़ी बेटा. What if your organization is expected to incur losses for the next 10 years? Will you make a provision for all of those losses now only? Imagine beta you make a provision for all of those losses, now only beta balance sheet ki lag gayi abhi. Gaya. There's absolutely no point in looking at that balance sheet also now. Possible. You do not make a provision, guys, for future operating losses only because there is no obligation. What if, abhi beta I change the example. Tera naam kya bola tha tu? Akshat beta has entered, correct as spelling? Akshat beta has entered into a contract as such, guys, with Yash to construct a building. Akshat has quoted an amount of 5 crore rupees for the construction. That he will take a revenue of how much? 5 crore rupees. He will construct the entire building. After taking up the contract as such, beta, Akshat realized that he made some calculation mistakes. The cost of completing the contract is going to be 7 crores. Initially, he thought the cost will only be 4 crores, so it will be profitable for him to execute the contract. He quoted a price of 5 crores. Both of them have entered into contracts. Yash खुशी enter कर लिया because he knows सामने वाला बेवकूफ है, हो गया, बन गया बोल के. So anyways, beta, both of them have entered into a contract to execute the contract at what price? 5 crore rupees. What is the expected cost of completing this contract? Is Akshat expected to incur a loss of what amount? The loss may not be exactly 2 crores. It can be less than 2 crores. It can be more than 2 crores. Right now, it is an estimate, beta, that our loss is. Are we obligated to incur this loss now? He's already entered into a contract, beta, with another party to provide this contract at a price of how much? Make a provision for this immediately because there is an obligation that is already created. Irrespective of whether you've started working on this contract or not, doesn't matter. Did you sign the contract? Yes. Make a provision immediately for future expected losses. So on mein aa raha hai, nahi aa raha hai. What if beta this was not a construction contract? Akshat has entered into a contract with Yash to supply some 1 lakh units of a product at a fixed price of 30 rupees. So the total revenue will be how much? 30 lakhs. He's been doing this continuously. He's been incurring good amount of profits on all of this. But suddenly the price of raw material has increased. And this product is going to cost Akshat 35 rupees to make. So on mein aa raha hai, nahi aa raha hai. Akshat is going to incur a cost of 35 rupees to manufacture this product as such, beta, but then he will have to still deliver it to Yash at what price? Because he's already entered into a contract with a fixed price contract. Is he expected to incur a loss? Does he have to make a provision? He has to make a provision immediately. Why does he have to make a provision immediately? There is an obligation that is already created. Go back to basic thing. Is an obligation created? If the answer is yes, then you will have to make a provision. ये सब वापस पढ़ेंगे बेटा अपन. There's another standard called as AS29. We'll have to cover hell lot of cases there. Some 20-25 cases, but on different types of provisions. But then right now it is important, guys. अभी we will go to a standard called as AS7, Accounting Standard 7, Construction Contracts. वहाँ पे एक line included रहेगा. If the entire contract is expected to result in a loss, please make a provision for loss immediately. Isn't that common sense, beta? Because you've already entered into a contract, isn't there an obligation created? If there's an obligation created, what are we supposed to do? Make a provision for loss. AS29 bolega, if you are selling product with warranty claims, make a provision. Why do we have to create a provision? There is an obligation that is already created. Whether or not the cash flow is going out immediately, better. Even if the cash outflow is expected after 2 years, after 3 years, because you have entered into the contract, you will have to make a provision. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? So always go back to the basic word, beta, that is obligation. So how do you define? Ab liabilities, beta, can be of different types. Can you name few liabilities, beta, that you normally see in a balance sheet? Huh? Excellent. Creditors, guys. How is creditors satisfying the definition of the word liability? When I'm buying raw material from someone as such, guys, am I not creating a contract in the process? Am I obligated to pay for that raw material? Isn't that a liability for me? Next, better. Huh? हाँ, bank loans. कौन है capital बोला liability में? Bank loan, guys, or debentures, guys. When you are raising money in the form of loan as such, guys, are you not obligated to pay back the amount? Yes or no? You are obligated to pay back the amount as such, guys. That is why you disclose the entire amount as a. If I take a loan of 100 rupees from Samiksha today as such, guys, and I tell her that I will repay the amount after 5 years, am I creating an obligation on my part? Though I'm receiving the amount today as such, but I'm obligated to pay back that amount as such, guys, after a time frame of 5 years. So how should I disclose that in my books of accounts? As a liability. Are we clear about it? Of course, when I receive that 100 rupees, but I will also have a cash balance of 100, but I will also disclose a loan of 100 rupees. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Yes or no, kids? Any other thing, beta? Outstanding expenses, do they satisfy? Are they not exactly similar to creditors? You've already received services as such, guys. That is why you're disclosing that as a obligation. There's liability. Provision for tax, guys. You haven't received any services, but you're still disclosing that as a provision. Why? There is a legislation in India such, but there's Income Tax Act 1961, which says anyone who's making a profit is supposed to pay tax on it. Isn't that obligation being created because of the legislation there? Are you not obligated to pay taxes? Can you go and tell the government, नहीं भैया मूड नहीं है टैक्स पे करने का, ये साल नहीं दूंगा बोल के? That is not going to happen. So you are supposed to provide for the entire amount of tax. That will be disclosed as provision for tax. Why are we disclosing that as provision for tax? Estimate hai abhi. Employees are working for you guys. After, if they work for you for a continuous period of 5 years, they will be entitled to additional benefits like gratuity. ठीक है? Right now we do not know how many employees will work for 5 years. Few of them can leave before 5 years. Few of them can continue working for more than 5 years, guys. Am I supposed to create a provision for that also? If I do not make a provision for that, I am not following accrual concept. See, why am I giving them that benefit, guys? Only because they are working for us. If they work now, should I create that expenditure now, guys, or should I create that expenditure later on the current date? Are we all clear about the word provision and liability, guys? Yes or no? Understood? Why are we not creating a provision for future operating losses? That is important, बेटा. बाद में जाके वो confusion आता है. AS 29 में ये example भी आएगा. That an organization is expected to incur losses for the next 3 years. Is a provision required? The answer is no. There is no obligation on our part to incur that loss. It is because of the primary nature of business that we are going to incur losses. Secondary, guys, if we shut down the business today, no one will force us to incur those losses. Is that clear? Any doubt in this? समझ में आ गया ये? लिखो बेटा. Write the heading, guys. Liability. Now, guys, one more point, beta, before you start writing. Sorry. Any inflow of money today can either be your revenue, yes, or it can be a liability, or it can be a reduction of asset. तीन ही चीज पॉसिबल हो सकती है. If there is an inflow of money, it is either going to your revenue statement, or it is going to your balance sheet as a liability, or it is reducing an asset in your liability. I have a money, but I sold goods to Samiksha worth 10 lakh rupees. She is giving me 10 lakhs after 1 month. So I'm receiving 10 lakhs today. Will that go to my revenue statement again as sales? Manu Bhavalu. I sold goods on 1st April. I'm receiving amount on 30th April. When will I book revenue? Already in profit and loss account ko revenue जा चुका है 10 lakh rupees. When I sell this, beta, in my P&L statement I will show revenue of 10 lakhs. In my balance sheet I will show debtors as 10 lakhs. When am I receiving the amount? When I receive the amount, will I again disclose revenue of 10 lakhs? No. What will I do in my balance sheet? Reduce debtors. हाँ या ना बेटा? Replace that by debtors will reduce as such, beta, and that will be replaced by cash because I'm receiving the amount now. Correct? So whenever you receive amount as such, guys, it can be, what if there are cash sales? Are you receiving amount? Yes or no, guys? So will that go to my P&L account as my revenue immediately? And my balance sheet में क्या आएगा? Cash आएगा. What if I have taken a loan, guys? Will that go to my P&L account? If I take a loan, will I write it off? नहीं, मैं तो नहीं देने वाला हूँ बोल के. It will directly go to my as a loan, and I'll also disclose that as my cash balance. Whenever you're receiving money, guys, it is either a revenue for the organization or it is a liability. Yes or no? Sometimes there can also be something called as deferred revenue. Imagine that you are receiving an amount of 10,000 rupees, but against that you are obligated to deliver goods better after a month. You are not delivering goods now. For the time being, it is not your revenue. When will you book revenue? अभी तुम्हारे को कोई say, guys, you are a builder, you are building houses, ठीक है? someone, you just laid the slab work, matlab ground, bhumi pujan kare, nothing else is done as such beta, and you already sold 100 flats. You are a very known contractor as such beta in the market. That is why people are dying to buy the houses that are being built by you as such, guys. You already sold 100 flats now. Will you receive advances? Can you book that as revenue immediately? Nahi. There is no way beta that you book it as revenue. For the time being, guys, it is deferred revenue for you. You will disclose that as a liability. Say, guys, again, if Krishna here is a dealer of some product, I give him an advance of 10 lakh rupees and I tell him that I want to buy this product. So he is going to manufacture that product and deliver to me after 3 months. But I am paying him 10 lakhs now only. Now, for him, guys, that 10 lakh rupees is not revenue. When is he going to book revenue against it? After 3 months. जब वो deliver करेगा product मेरे को. Meanwhile, did he not receive 10 lakhs? His balance sheet में cash balance will increase by 10 lakhs. Something should be disclosed, no? What will he do? Disclose this as liability. This is an advance received as such beta from a customer. If he's not able to deliver the product, is he not liable to return that amount? Isn't there an obligation on his part? There is an obligation. Against this advance, he should either deliver goods worth 10 lakhs or return the money. Obligation create हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है guys? Yes or no? Likewise, beta, say you go to, or beta, you book a flight to Tata New app. ठीक है? Tata New is giving crazy reward points as such, guys, for anything that you book through their app now. मतलब 8%, 10% reward points आते हैं. So you pay an amount of 30,000 rupees for the flight. They are giving you reward points, say beta, worth 2,000 rupees. All right. They can book a revenue of only 28,000 rupees now. बाकी का 2,000 beta is deferred revenue for them. Can you encash those points on a later date? Yes or no? To buy any product beta, you can encash those points. So though you are paying 30,000 rupees to them today, in short, are you not giving them only 28,000 for the current purchase? Baki 2,000 rupees, guys, are you not claiming it on a later date? Accounting is a little complex process beta, but you have to understand the substance of the transaction will tell us how should you treat that transaction. I am paying 30,000 rupees to them. They will book only 28,000 rupees as revenue. Baki ka 2,000 rupees, they will disclose it as any company beta that has a concept of loyalty points, reward points. They will have to bifurcate like this. They cannot club the entire amount as such beta and show the entire amount as upfront revenue. They will have to defer a part of that revenue. Don't you think beta it is most likely that you're going to claim those points on a later date? Abhi credit card mein beta, whenever you swipe as such, guys, do credit card companies give you reward points? Yes, credit card companies give you reward points. Can you claim those reward points on a later date? Yes. Are they not supposed to disclose that beta as a liability? Uske against, are they not going to render service to you on a later date? Abhi unki kamai kya hai beta? Whenever you're swiping a card, say if you swipe 100 rupees, there will be a commission of 2 rupees that he will take and give only 98 rupees as such beta to the vendor from whom the product was purchased. Are you getting it? So this 2 rupees is their income. Against that, are they not giving you reward points? Reward points थोड़ी तुम्हारे को free में दे रहा है बेटा वो, उसको तो भी तो commission मिल रहा है ना. He's generating some income in the process बेटा. That is why they're giving you those reward points. But what is the point here, guys? Whenever there is some amount being received today against which you are liable to render service on a later date, that is not your income today. That is your deferred revenue. What will you do with that? Disclose that as a liability. Please do not take it to your P&L account. Are we very clear? So, today's discussion beta was not about revenue recognition or anything. For me, what is important is the definition of the word asset, definition of the word liability. Prima facie, that is the only thing that I would want to cover today. Nothing else is important. Are we clear? Likho beta, liability. Yes, guys. Liability is a present obligation. Liability is a present obligation. So this outstanding subscription, also deferred revenue. Outstanding subscription beta is not deferred revenue, it is a asset. It is income receivable. So here online student has a doubt beta that you have already, see, when I talk about a club, guys, or when I talk about a newspaper agency, I've already rendered service, but the subscription amount is yet to be received. If I've already rendered service, I will book revenue and I will also disclose a receivable. Just when you sell goods, beta, what will you write? Debtors account debit to. Subscriptions के case में beta, there is no selling of goods. You are rendering a service. So you will still write outstanding subscription account debit to revenue. You will transfer that amount to your income statement immediately. Are we clear? जो तुम लोग NPOs में करे होंगे बेटा. So outstanding subscription को do not compare it with an liability. Remember, it is an asset. For you beta, who has to pay it? It is a liability. What if you have already availed services of a club beta? You're अभी maintenance है बेटा, building maintenance, ठीक है? Are you not availing the services of your apartment on a daily basis? Even if you do not live there as such, beta, you're obligated to. General maintenance हो रहा है building का. हाँ या ना? You did not pay that maintenance for 3 months as such, guys. For the building association accounting, it is a receivable. For you, it is a liability. Are we clear? Prepaid subscription. Yes, beta. Prepaid subscription, undoubtedly, beta, for the... What if you have ended up paying maintenance, guys, for the next 2 years? तुम बोलते हर महीना आगे दिमाग खराब मत करो, I will pay maintenance directly for the next 2 years. Possible? There will be many people as such beta who do not regularly live there as such beta. They end up paying maintenance for the entire year in advance. Building वाले क्या करना? Will they transfer the entire amount to their revenue statement immediately, guys? No. What should they do? Disclose that as a live. Say, what if, as an example, beta, maintenance is 5,000 per month. So for the entire year, it is 60,000. You pay 60,000 now. Out of 60,000, they will transfer only 5,000 rupees. And 55,000 will be disclosed as a liability. Next month, they will transfer another. The liability will keep reducing as such beta and it will reach 0. Is that clear, Karunya? चलो तुम लोग लिखो बेटा, क्या लिखे? Liability is liability is a present obligation arising on account of a past event. Arising on account of a past event. Arising on account of a past event. The settlement of which is expected to result in. The settlement of which is expected to result in. The settlement of which is expected to result in. Expected to result in. Outflow of economic resources. Outflow of economic resources. Outflow of economic resources. The obligation can be on account of a contract. Obligation can be on account of a contract. On account of a contract. Legislation. On account of a contract. Legislation. Or arising on account of business practices. Or arising on account of business practices. Or arising on account of business practices. Business practices. Next line. Provision is a liability. Provision is a liability. Provision is a liability which requires a substantial degree of estimation. Provision is a liability which requires a substantial degree of estimation. Substantial degree of estimation. Provision is a liability which requires a substantial degree of estimation. Estimation. Next beta. Write down example. A company, first one beta. Example के नीचे first point. हाँ ठीक है. Example 1. A company has been incurring losses. A company has been incurring losses. Has been incurring losses. The expected loss for the next year. The expected loss for the next year. The expected loss for the next year. Expected loss for the next year is 500 crores. Expected loss for the next year is 500 crores. Should you make a provision now? Why? Write down. No provision is required. No provision is required. No provision is required for future operating losses. No provision is required for future operating losses. Future operating losses. As there is no obligation. As there is no obligation. No provision is required for future operating losses as there is no obligation. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है कैसे? Next example. A company provides warranty. A company provides warranty. A company provides warranty. Warranty on sale of its products. Provides warranty on sale of its product. Provision will be required. Provision will be required. Provision will be required for expected warranty claims. For expected warranty claims. Provision will be required for expected warranty claims. Expected warranty claims. As there is a contractual obligation. As there is a contractual obligation. Provision will be required for expected warranty claims as there is a contractual obligation. Are we clear, guys? As there is a contractual obligation. Next beta. Next example. A company has entered into a contract. A company has entered into a contract. Entered into a contract to construct a building. To construct a building. To construct a building at a price of 5 crores. At a price of 5 crores. It subsequently realizes that the expected cost of completing the contract will be 7 crores. Expected cost of completing the contract will be 7 crores. 7 crores. The loss of 2 crores. The loss of 2 crores is on account of the contract. The loss of 2 crores is on account of a contract. Loss of 2 crores is on account of a contract, and hence provision will be required immediately. Provision will be required immediately. Provision will be required immediately. Next point. Next beta, fourth wala hai na abhi? हाँ. Next point. If a company is obligated to render services or provide goods, on a later date, on a later date, the consideration received today, the consideration received today, the consideration received today cannot be transferred to PNL. The consideration received today cannot be transferred to PNL, cannot be transferred to PNL and should be disclosed as deferred revenue, brackets में liability, should be disclosed as deferred revenue, in brackets liability, should be disclosed as deferred revenue, in brackets liability. What is the example that I gave for this बेटा? Reward points का लिख लो बेटा. टाटा न्यू के लिए बेटा सेल्स कितनी थी? 30,000. But what are the reward points given? Reward points worth 2,000 rupees given. So revenue to be booked कितना हो जाएगा? Sales are 30,000. Reward points worth 2,000 rupees given, guys. Reward points worth 2,000 rupees given. So revenue to be booked, revenue to be booked beta will be 28,000. Deferred revenue कितनी हो जाएगी? Deferred revenue beta is 2,000. You will book a revenue of 28,000 rupees immediately. You will transfer that 2,000 rupees beta to deferred revenue account. Any doubt in this? Understood what is a provision? Understood what is a liability, guys? Yes or no beta? Now talking about income recognition norms beta, basic income recognition norm, बाकी का सब आगे देखेंगे. When are we supposed to normally recognize something as revenue, guys? Is it on receipt basis? Only when you receive money should you disclose something as income, guys, or do you book incomes, guys, on accrual basis? ये हम पढ़े सर कहीं तो accrual concept is important. That is why you're always supposed to follow accrual concept. So when it comes to sale of goods, guys, what is accrual? Sale of goods as such, guys, matlab what is accrual there? Credit sale? Credit sales are considered. Huh. Guys, we say beta that the risk and rewards incidental to ownership are transferred. What is कभी सुने इसके बारे में? Risk and rewards incidental to ownership are transferred. Does not matter whether you're realizing the amount immediately or not. When I say risk and rewards incidental to ownership but transferred, guys, hereafter, if there is a decrease in the value of that inventory that I'm selling, that is your risk. If there is an increase in the value of that inventory, that is your reward. That is risk and rewards incidental to ownership. Are you getting the point here? I sell goods worth 10 lakh rupees as such, guys, to Vittal here. ठीक है? He does not take delivery of the goods. He will take delivery of the goods on a later date. But मैं बेच दिया. Tomorrow, if the value of the goods increases to 20 lakhs, can I tell him, sorry, I will not give you the goods? Whose gain is it? Vittal's gain. What if the value of that inventory beta comes down to 8 lakh rupees? His loss. Can he say, no, I will not take delivery of the goods? Balke? It is very common in jewelry industry as such beta that they make bookings over the call only. No one takes physical delivery immediately as such beta. All of them take physical delivery on a later date. They will call and then say, nahi, we need to book 10 kgs of silver as such, guys, or say 10 kgs of gold. The price is fixed as such, guys. Delivery कब लेंगे? शाम में लेंगे या फिर अगले दिन सुबह लेंगे? They want to fix that price immediately because the price is whatever better. It is they think that it is attractive. They should be booking gold at the same price. अभी अगर immediately बेटा price of gold decreases by 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees, can they say no after that? Risk and rewards incidental to ownership have been transferred. So even when they are booking that as such, guys, over phone, one person will book revenue, the other person is going to book purchase. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Because that is at that point as such बेटा that the risk have been transferred. This is a common rule for what? Sale of goods. Physical possession transfer होना जरूरी नहीं है. Though normally, guys, in a lot of cases, if you're going to Ratnadeep and buying some product as such beta, when will the risk and reward incidental to ownership get transferred? Only when you take delivery of the product. हाँ या ना, guys? समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? So in majority of the cases, risk and rewards incidental to ownership get transferred as such, guys, only upon physical possession. But that does not mean, guys, in every case risk and reward should get transferred only upon physical possession. There will be other cases. Just say AS9 mein beta, we'll learn about 15-20 cases where risk and rewards are not transferred at the time of physical possession. But normally this is for sale of goods, and also there should be certainty of collection. अगर certainty of collection नहीं है समझो, you cannot book anything as revenue. Because if I am booking revenue, guys, what will be the entry? Debtors account debit to. If you have to disclose something as an asset, what is the criteria? By booking revenue, am I not disclosing something as an asset? What is the criteria, guys, for asset recognition? Cost can be measured. यहाँ पे cost first कुछ रहता नहीं बेटा. What is the other condition? It is probable that there will be inflow of future economic benefit. What if I have sold goods to a party beta from which there is no certainty of collection only? Now is it probable beta that I will receive the economic benefit on a later date? आगे जाके देखेंगे AS9 will say you cannot recognize revenue if there is no certainty of collection. Everything comes back to the basic points only, guys. So for you to book revenue, risk and rewards of ownership should get transferred. If they are not transferred, you cannot book it as revenue. Otherwise, don't you think people will start inflating profits by booking revenue, guys? अपने पास inventory है books में. Inventory is worth 1 crore rupees. मजा नहीं आ रहा है ये देख के. We are telling that नहीं ये बिक चुका है, and we are disclosing that as debtors 10 crores by booking a revenue of 10 crores, profit of 9 crores, revenue of 9 crores. You will book a revenue of 10 crores, you will book a profit of 9 crores. Can I do this? No, beta, we cannot. When can I do this? If I have actually sold the inventory for an amount of, there are many organizations beta that do this. They sell inventory on 30th March. They book sales returns on 2nd April. Why do they do this? They are under pressure to report more profits as on 31st March. So they will disclose that sales have been made prior to 31st March is better. And then in the next year, because किसी से पैसा तो आने वाला है नहीं वैसे भी, they will disclose the same thing as sales returns. Tech companies बेटा उसमें तो even more easier way, because in tech companies बेटा there is no physical movement of goods only, no. कुछ तो random invoices generate कर देंगे that we have sold some or we have rendered some services साथ बेटा to some customer, we have receivable. Go show that to the banker, take loan, get away. नमस्ते सर, वो पैसे नहीं आए, डूब गई कंपनी बोल के. हाँ ऐसा कैसे नहीं, इतना इजी थोड़ी है सर, अंदर डाल देते. पहले होता था बेटा, तू ऐसे सोच मत, वो स्कीम अच्छी है, पैसे कमा लेंगे बोल के. But anyways, but are we all clear about this part? Any doubt in this part? So what did we do today, guys? We've done the definition of the word asset. How do you define an asset? क्या 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 स्माइल क्यों कर रही है बेटा? हाँ छोड़ देना यार. हाँ, present resource within the control of the entity, guys, arising on account of a past event expected to result in future economic benefits. How do you define a liability? Present obligation arising on account of a past event, guys, the settlement of which is expected to result in outflow of future economic resource. What is the recognition criteria for an asset? Cost can be measured, future economic benefits should be probable. What is the recognition criteria for liability? Recognition criteria नहीं है, वो definition satisfy हो गया, खत्म हो गया. ठीक है. For asset there is a separate recognition criteria बेटा, because at what amount are you supposed to disclose it? For liability there will not be any other recognition criteria. If the definition is met, it is a liability. It is mandatory for you to disclose it as a liability. How do you initially measure any asset? At cost. Subsequent measurement depends on how are we going to derive economic benefit. If your intention is to sell it, then how will you show? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower. If your intention is to hold it as such beta, primarily at cost. What is cost beta? What all things are included in the cost of an asset? All the expenses, guys, that are directly attributable to bringing the asset to the present location and condition. Will you include refundable duties? Non-refundable duties? Refundable duties, why are we not including it? The burden of expenditure is not on us. We are not paying for it. Even though you're paying today, beta, you're going to get a reimbursement of that on a later date. That is why it is not included in the cost of the asset. Are we clear, guys? नाउ लाइबिलिटी के एग्जांपल्स दे दिया. हाँ, ऑब्लिगेशन कैसे कैसे हो सकते हैं? ऑब्लिगेशन कैन बी a present obligation, can be a contractual obligation as such, beta. It can be a legal obligation, or it can be arising on account of your business practices. Correct beta Guru? निकलने के लिए ready है? All right guys, I'm ending the session a little early today guys. Tomorrow also I'll be leaving around 1:30 1:45 only. From Monday, Saturday and Sunday there's no class. नहीं बोला क्या तुम्हारे को मैं? All the September 25 students already know it, no? I thought I texted you also. Saturday and Sunday there's no class guys. On 2 days let them get used to it. ठीक है? From Monday guys the timings are 7 to 4. Yes, 4:30 जो भी है बेटा, it will continue every single day. Are we very clear about this? All right guys, online students at the end of the session beta, September 25 students can leave guys. May 25 students बैठो बेटा. Papers देना है, पुराने test papers. September 25 students can leave guys. Bye bye. Online students end of the session guys. Bye.